What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing today? I am like rushing on today. Sorry. I worked all day, then I had tennis with the kiddo, but I got tomorrow off. So I'm I'm coming to hang out a little later. I'm coming to hang out a little later today. Skywars, Avery, Pip, how you guys doing? The True, how are you? Did I win at tennis? I am currently beating my daughter at tennis. She has not been playing long. However, she has she doesn't have long before she's going to be beating the holy hell out of me. She's got about 6 months, a year, and she's gonna be beating the holy hell out of me. I tell you that much. She's gonna be absolutely smoking me. Oh god, even some shots today she was hitting. I was like, I got old man knees, man. I don't got knees for playing against a teenager in tennis, man. But hey, I'm out there getting my cardio in, right? I'm sure if I had a pulmonologist, he or she would be very happy with me. Pulmonologist is heart doctor, right? I do politics, yo. I don't do medicine. Huh? I do cardiologist. What's pulmonologist? Shit. What's pulmonologist? Lungs? Shit. See, guys, I am so bad with like medicine stuff. Like, I won't even like go on WebMD. I won't even go on WebMD because I might read something and I'm not smart enough to know what I'm reading. So like I would read something and probably be like I'd probably either be like worried about something I shouldn't be worried about, or vice versa. I'd read something and I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound bad. And they're like, it's going to kill you in like 3 days. And I'm like, oh shit. See, this is why I let doctors do doctor stuff. This is why I let doctors do doctor stuff, because I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to medicine. Okay. I'm also a giant child if I get a cold. Whole child. Wrap me up, turn on a movie marathon, bring me soup. Come cuddle me. I'm sick. You might as well just send it's over. It's absolutely over. Y'all, hey, I'm glad you guys joined me today. I know we're a little late on today, but that's okay. We're actually going to be probably late on starting permanently. I think about 7:30 Central, so about 8:30 Eastern is about to be my new weekly time. Scarlett, that's what I'm saying. And if I'm sick, I'm the small spoon too. Like, I need to feel safe. Hey, Velvet, how you doing? I need to feel safe. You know what I'm saying? All right. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Like I said, this will be my new time, probably starting next week. Tomorrow, I'll be on super early. Then I'll be back on weekend times. Then I'm changing shifts next week. So I'm going to be on later. So it's going to be a whole thing. So just keep in touch with me. I appreciate you. If you're on the TikTok side, can we get this thing up to about 10,000 likes? I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. From the YouTube side, if you go to the top, hit that like button for me. I really appreciate that. Subscribe if you're new here. In just a couple of minutes, I'm going to turn on this phone line from this phone number that's right above my head, and we're going to have some conversations. So if you support Trump, I'd like to have a conversation with you. We have some conversations. We have some debate. We have some banter. We have all sorts of different types of, levels of conversation. Just really depends. Uh, lately, my conversations have been pretty relaxed. Knock on wood. They've been pretty relaxed, and they've been going on for a while. So I've been really appreciating that. So hopefully we can get to some good conversation. But all good things must come to an end at some point. So yeah, if you guys could do me that favor again, if you're on that TikTok side, if you guys could go up and get that thing up to 10,000 likes, I really appreciate it. If you're on the YouTube side, just go to the top, hit that like button, and we'll be opening up these phone lines very, very shortly. For you guys who are in my Discord, I have officially launched my new Discord. It is in my link tree. It is about, how do I say? There's some channels for everybody, and there's some channels that are going to be just for subscribers. All right. So if you are a subscriber or a subscriber on TikTok, member on YouTube, right? And you will have to verify and all that sort of stuff. So when you guys are coming in. So yeah. So just to let you guys know, I do have a brand new Discord. It is still developing. It's still moving forward. It has a lot less stuff than the old one, but it is going to be a lot more secure, and we're going to have a lot more fun in it, I think. I'm excited for it, so I hope you guys are too. Well, I would say that, Ari, but it's a subscriber on... I know it's confusing. Because a subscriber on YouTube is a follower on TikTok, and the subscriber on TikTok is a member on YouTube. Anyways, if you have a paid membership to me, then there will be more access to more channels. Okay, that's just the way it will go. But you'll still be able to get announcements, find out when I'm going on, all that sort of stuff, find out when I'm doing stuff, find out when I post videos, all that fun stuff. 222. Cool. So I think it's about time we have I got any calls yet? Oop. All right. I think it's probably about time we get this thing started. What do you guys think? Nani, are you gay? If not, then single. I am not gay, nor am I single. So, but I appreciate the interest. Thank you so much. All right. Shall we? Shall we get this thing started? All right. I think I will start here. See who we got over here. Hello?
Yo.
Hi, how old are you?
21.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
Why is that?
Borders more secure, less fentanyl in and out of the country, less illegals in the country. Tariffs are making us money.
Who's us?
The country.
The country? So how are tariffs making us money?
Well, it's lowering our debt.
Gotcha. Who pays a tariff?
The people who buy goods.
So we're paying us.
I mean, can you explain how the tariffs are, what he's done is wrong?
We didn't say anything wrong. You said that it's paying our country. And I asked you who's paying it. You said that the people that buy things. So therefore, what you're saying is the U.S.
people to buy.
Sir, just let me finish. So what you're saying is that the U.S. is paying the U.S. money, and that is helpful. What happens? What happens when U.S. What happens when U.S. citizens pay the government? What's that called?
When the U.S. pays the government taxes.
Yeah, taxes. So you're just saying that it's good that we have higher taxes.
Well, no, there's more companies coming to America, so you have to support American companies more.
What companies have come to America?
I mean, I'm sure there's many that I don't know the names of that have been.
I'm not asking for many. You got like 2?
Not off the top of my head, no. I don't really think about that. But I just know that it's an incentive to bring more here, and that it's literally worked because it's gotten our country more money.
Sir, again, the money didn't come in. In order for our country to have more money, okay, we would have to be getting money from another country, right? If I give myself money, that's not me making more money. If I like, I'll give you an example, okay? If I buy a new microwave for my house, okay, is that my household bringing in money, or is that just me buying something for myself?
I mean, the questions you're asking are just pretty self-explanatory, but tariffs themselves push for American-made goods
Sir,
to
sir,
be purchased.
you're moving back and forth between subjects, okay? And every time I ask you a question on one of them, you move to the other subject. So let's just stay on one, okay? And then we'll move to the other, okay? You said that tariffs are bringing in money to America. If Americans are paying the money to America, how is that bringing in money?
Well, other countries are paying for our goods too.
Other countries are paying for our goods? What do you mean?
Other countries will need to buy American goods if we only manufacture stuff here.
Sir, America only already manufactures American stuff here. What? That doesn't make any sense.
And they'll have to buy more of American stuff, which will be bringing us money. Other countries need us. We're the biggest consumers in the world.
The biggest consumers, correct, sir. So why would other countries need us to sell them things?
Every country needs us.
To sell them things? Other countries need us because we buy things, sir. Other countries need us because we buy things. Yeah, but what you're saying isn't making any sense. And the tariffs have nothing to do with that. You're not making much sense, sir. I'm just being completely honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, sir, if by saying that Americans are just paying the American government, money, all you're doing is saying, "Yay, more taxes." Which I guess if that's your thing, that's fine, right? But let's not pretend like it's
money's going. If it's going to the right places, yeah, it's fine.
Well, I mean, we're having record government spending right now, and
we had record government spending in the last 5 years.
No, we literally right now have record government spending. Not for 5 years. I'm talking about right now.
You do realize there's billions and trillions of dollars that disappeared in the last 5 years.
Where did it disappear to?
No one knows where. No one knows.
Then how do you know it disappeared?
Because there's record of it.
There's record of us not knowing where it went?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, that's proven.
We proved that we don't know something. That's impressive. That's great.
You can prove that you send money off to places and people, and then you don't know where that money is used for.
Like where?
Ukraine's one.
Well, we know where the money went. It went to Ukraine.
Israel is a big one.
Again, we know it went to Israel.
No, they say it's going to one thing and then it doesn't, and then it never gets recorded.
But you just told me where it went. You literally just said it went to Ukraine and Israel, so therefore we know where it went.
They're going to those places for certain things.
It went to Ukraine and Israel. Like that was like guys. I think we proved it. We did it. We were trying to figure out where all that money went, and I think we figured it out. Right now, me and you, sir.
But it disappeared.
It disappeared as we sent it to the place where we said we were sending it. That's crazy.
They were supposed to use it on certain stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they didn't even get some of it. So then where did it go?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. Where'd it go, sir?
I have no idea. That's the question.
Oh, okay. Donald Trump is still sending money to Ukraine and Israel, right?
And I wouldn't agree with that unless it's for the right cause.
Yeah, but sir, we're talking about why you support Trump, and you're making a statement that you didn't like it because money was going to Israel and Ukraine.
I mean, I support Trump. That doesn't mean I have to agree with everything.
Sir, I was in the middle of a sentence. You said that you support Trump because Biden was sending money to Israel and Ukraine, and it was disappearing. But Trump is doing the exact same thing. So, what does that have to do with anything?
Biden did it in record numbers in places that but Trump's not sending it overseas to just go to random things that we don't know.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. That's what Doge is for.
That's what Doge is for? Doge has nothing to do with that.
Doge has everything to do with where government spending is going.
Nope. Doge can't stop a single dollar of government spending from going overseas that was appropriated.
It shows where the dollars are going.
Cool. So we can watch it disappear?
So we know where it goes. That used to not be a thing. So
We
they could
knew
just
where
throw
it
money
went,
in
sir.
there.
Sir, we knew
No,
where
we
it went.
didn't.
Yes, we did, sir. We've always
How
known
can you
where the
say
money
we
is.
do? How can you say we do when Ukraine even said they didn't get it all?
Yeah, Ukraine said some shit or whatever. We know what we sent the money for, and we can prove that it got there. So I don't know what you're talking about. Ukraine can say whatever the hell they want.
You can't prove it got. The recipient said it didn't get there.
Congratulations. It doesn't change our numbers. If I pay you $100 and you say you don't
just
know,
make
sir,
up money.
sir, if I pay you $100 and you say you don't know where it went, and I can show you the receipt that I sent you $100, why does it matter what you say?
What if you're lying?
I have the receipt.
You can make up a receipt of you sending $100.
Okay, so I have the receipt, and this receipt has been verified multiple times over and over.
I need to see proof of that.
Yeah, and we have proof, sir, in all the money that we sent to Ukraine. We have proof that's been verified
just
over
don't
and
believe
over and
that.
over and over and over. So I don't care if Zelensky comes out and says we didn't get a single dollar. It really doesn't change anything to me because we have the receipts.
I just wouldn't believe that. I just don't believe that.
No, sir,
that
you
we
don't
know
have to
where it's
believe
all
the
going.
truth. You believing the truth doesn't change it from being true.
Doge literally uncovered where millions and billions were going.
Okay. They didn't
We're
uncover
funding
it, sir.
transgender studies.
Sir,
We're
they
funding transgender studies overseas.
Sir, they didn't uncover where it was from. They just read when you did it.
No.
Yeah,
and
because you could have.
And you agree with where the money was going?
I'm not saying I agree with where the money was going or not. What I'm saying is that all of that money was in appropriations bills that were passed by Congress and were public record the entire time, right? So at any point in time, but sir, at any point in time, you could have read the appropriations bill and you could have seen exactly where the money was going, right? You chose not to. All that Doge did was say, hey, look, I read this, and since you didn't, and this is what's happening, where the people on us, the rest of us, not the rest of us, the minority of us that actually just read where our money is going from the get-go is like, yeah, Congress passed that 3 years ago.
Okay, I'm not saying money didn't get approved to get sent, but the fact that you believe all the money was sent to the right places and that none got lost is...
No, we did lose a lot of money. A lot of that money that we lost actually went to the Pentagon. Yeah, because the Pentagon hasn't passed an audit in like 10 years. They lose billions of dollars.
That's messed up. 10 years without an audit?
Yeah, so if the Pentagon keeps failing audits, then why is Donald Trump giving the Pentagon more money even though they keep failing audits?
I need to look into that, but
yeah. So his bills were trying to raise the Pentagon's budget from like $880 billion to $1 trillion, and they haven't passed an audit. And God, I don't even know when the last time. So if we're trying to make sure that all the money is going to the right place, then how come Donald Trump is giving more money to the people that keep losing money?
Is he confirming where the money's going, or is it...
Nobody's confirming where the money is from? We keep auditing them; they keep failing.
Yeah, I just need to double check that, but...
Sure, you can double check it, man. Not a big deal.
No, if he's doing that, then that's probably not right. I think we should take care of our money and do the right things, but I think he's also making us more money than we've done.
He's not.
In the past 5 years.
He's literally spending millions and millions of dollars going golfing, going to the Super Bowl, going to the Daytona 500.
He can live his life.
Yeah, he can live his life all he wants. I thought he was rich. Why is he using taxpayer dollars to pay for all these things?
He doesn't even have a salary.
He does have a salary. We saw his tax returns from his first term, and he did have a salary, okay?
He's
But
not
regardless of
taking
any
a
of that,
salary.
he is currently using American taxpayer dollars to go golfing. If he's so rich, then why is he doing that?
And what was Biden using the taxpayer dollars for?
The largest infrastructure bill in American history?
Bro, I think we just got it mixed up a little.
No, it just sounds like you really don't know what you're talking about.
No, I really do, but I
You
don't
really,
think you know
like,
what the
truly don't.
infrastructure- So what did the infrastructure bill do?
Like literally like 10,000 different projects, if not more, across the United States. There were so many. There was a map, and you could go in and click on it, and it was so much stuff that not only are Republican governors and Republican congressmen taking credit for a lot of the infrastructure that was under the infrastructure bill, but it was so many and so cool that Donald Trump actually took down the website because he was so embarrassed by Biden passing an infrastructure bill that Trump said he was going to pass in his first term, but he wasn't able to do that.
You believe that, bro?
Sir, please try to engage intellectually with me if you have the ability.
But it's like you can go read a news source, but then are you going to look at the real world?
Yeah, I can look at the real world and see that there's actually a bridge expansion happening 5 minutes from my house with that money.
That happens all the time with Trump in office, with whoever in office.
Yes, sir. It doesn't matter who's in office because the infrastructure bill was passed under Biden, and it's going to take about 10 years to build all of the things from the money that was under the infrastructure bill under Biden. Yeah.
Okay.
Or did you think that we passed a $1 trillion infrastructure bill and the next day everything was built?
No, I know how infrastructure works and everything, but
gotcha.
Isn't building a wall infrastructure and would help the border?
It's infrastructure.
Why don't you guys agree with that?
No, I mean, Biden tried to get money passed for helping build the wall and Republicans shot it down.
That was not true at first.
That is 100% true. And actually there was money that freaking Biden used on the wall from the second that he came in.
He did that after everything. He did that to
No, there was money being spent on the wall the entire time Biden was president. The reason for that is because the appropriations for that wall was already spent by the time Donald Trump had left office. So again, just like infrastructure, okay, just because we change president doesn't mean that the appropriations for that money go away. Biden still had to spend it on the wall. The only difference between Biden, spending it on the wall and Donald Trump spending it on the wall is Biden just used it to reinforce the wall that was already there. So we've had a wall at the southern border for over 100 years, right? And it had gaps in it, and it was, there was parts of it that were kind of worn down. So he took that money, and instead of building Donald Trump's really shitty wall, he just used it to reinforce wall that was already there.
So was Biden's idea to get hundreds and millions of illegal immigrants in here to do the infrastructure bill?
Hundreds of billions. You got that's my new
hundreds and millions. I said hundreds and millions.
Hundreds and millions. Okay, so you went from a crazy number to not English? Because who the hell says hundreds and millions? That doesn't even make any sense.
I was saying hundreds and millions of immigrants. And
hundreds and millions.
Yes. Yes, 10 to 20 million illegals let in.
Yeah, there was like 7 or a billion immigrants that came in.
Billion is way different than million, but okay.
And 100 is a way different than million also.
Hundreds and millions.
Hundreds is still a lot different than millions.
Bro, this is what y'all talk about, and this is what y'all disagree about.
This is how you speak English to another human being?
That made perfect sense.
No, it did not.
Okay. Anyways, but so can you answer the question? Did he want all the immigrants?
How many projected new migrants are in this country under the Biden administration?
Projected new migrants illegally?
Yes.
10 to 20 million.
1.6 million is the correct answer.
That's just not true, though.
Well, you say it's not true, and Pew Research Center and the Council for Immigration Control, Immigration Studies, and the Customs and Border Protection all disagree with you.
It's just not true, though.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'll trust. What's your name, sir?
I mean, I just don't want to get that out, but it's
what can I call you then?
Sir is fine. You're good.
All right, sir. So I should trust sir instead of literal people that study this for a living that calculate the
No, I'm not
numbers.
saying no. I'm not saying you should trust
Okay.
me.
Well, I'm
I'm
going to
just
go ahead and
saying,
trust Pew Research Center and again the Council for Immigration Studies and Customs and Border
but that's the
Protection when
thing.
they said that there's projected about 1.6 million under the Biden administration. There was somewhere around 8 to 900,000 under the Trump administration in the first term, right? See the 10 to 20 million thing, which is hundreds and millions or
How
whatever
is
you're
it
saying.
1.6 million, but 1 million already self-deported themselves?
Sir, I said new immigrants into the country, not how many were here, including the ones that were already here before.
But
Okay.
1.6, like that's
Undocumented
really
migrants.
low.
That new undocumented migrants put the amount of undocumented migrants in the country to just under 12 million. But that's over all time. That's not under the Biden administration.
I just think your number's low, and we'll
These
just have a
aren't my
disagreement on that.
numbers, sir. Again, these are not mine. I didn't
Yeah,
count.
I
I didn't
know.
count
I know.
anyone.
They're your website. They're your immigration website numbers, and I truly think we've been
Sir, the 10 million
attacked
number
from
or
the deep
5
state.
million or 20 million or whatever number, depending on which, news organization you turn on that day to decide, which, what number it is. Those are the number of border encounters. Okay. That is not the number
No,
of new undocumented migrants in the country. Okay. That's just the number of border encounters. And again, that's per
I
Customs
know.
and Border Protection.
Okay, I know multiple people, coworkers, who have fake social security numbers. I don't think your number is correct, and I wouldn't believe a deep state who's trying to take over our country from within.
Yeah, if you look at the number of people that have fake social security numbers, the majority of those are American citizens. Yeah,
They're not. My
they are
coworkers just
though.
got deported
Sir, I
because they
don't I
got
don't care
fake
about your
social
two
security.
coworkers, sir, with all
It's
due
happening
respect.
everywhere.
Sir, your incredibly anecdotal experience does not translate to the entire United States. Okay?
The fact that it's happening in my little city, I know it's happening everywhere, and we don't get it. Doesn't
Okay,
get
gotcha. Let me
talked
ask you a
about.
question.
News
Let me
sources
let,
don't
let
get
me
it.
let me see if I can help this make sense to you. Okay, so I live on a nice, like, pretty quiet residential street. All right. And so on my street, like on my side of the road, there's probably like, 30 houses. On the other side of the road, there's like 30 houses, right? So there's about 60 houses on my street total. Are you still with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So if over the next like 4 years or so, a bunch of people move out and a bunch of people move in, right? And they'll say 80% of the people on my street move out, sell their houses, and they sell it to other people. And of those people, about 50% of the people that move in are all from India. Okay. Because my street of 60 houses now, had 50% of the new people that moved in all from India, does that mean that now that exact same number translates to the rest of the United States? Does that now mean that about 40% of the United States is now from India?
No, but that's not my point of
But
like
if it's
exact
happening on
percentages.
my little street, then I know it has to be happening everywhere, right? Because all I
In a
can
lot
see,
of places, yeah.
I haven't left my little street, and all I can see from my little street is that 40% of the street is now from India. So therefore, I can now extrapolate that data and say, if of the 60 houses on my street, if 40% of them are now from India, then now 40% of the United States must now be from India, correct?
I mean, it's not exact, but it can happen.
Yeah, see, that's ridiculous and you know it. Okay, and that's the exact same thing that you're saying. You're saying, I know a guy
We have
who had
sanctuary cities, though.
Sir, just because you yell a word you heard on Fox News does not make my
I'm not
argument
yelling.
incorrect. You can't just yell sanctuary cities and then all of a
That's
sudden you
literally.
win the argument.
I
Okay,
lived in one. I
I
lived in
don't
one
care, sir. That's not even anything that we're talking about. You're saying I know a couple friends that got deported and had fake social
I
security
know
numbers.
hotels that
And
were rented out for
sir,
full
if you
illegals
cannot control yourself long enough for me to get a sentence out, I will just move on to someone who can.
because it's just false, though.
Yeah, I know, sir. Your entire argument has come to one point, which is
Can I say one thing?
no.
I
You
say
can be
one thing?
quiet while I'm in the middle of a sentence.
Real quick,
Not at all. No,
Please,
no,
please.
no. Can't do it now, champ.
Just one thing.
No. Your entire argument so far has been nuh-uh. Okay, like that's been your entire argument is nuh-uh. All right. So I don't really know what we're even talking about anymore. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and move on to somebody else. Sound good?
Hold up. One
All
thing.
right, sir. Well, you have a wonderful day.
One thing, real quick.
All right. So, anyways, we're about to open up the phone lines. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. If you guys would like support, if you guys are on the YouTube side, I do have super chats and super stickers open. If you do a super chat, or anything like that, I'll put up on the screen above my head and we can talk about it. Like Josh D, who sent the super chat right here and said, "I can't tell if bro is trolling or just not that bright." Either way, I'm not really sure either, Josh. But either way, I was kind of tired of it. So yeah, if you'd like to send a super chat, that's a great way to do it. I'll put up on the screen. We can talk about it. We can have fun. If you guys are over on the TikTok side, of course, always subbing, helping towards a sub goal is always a great way to support. And also have the little race car helmets down there too. And as always,
insane.
and as always, I do have all my pay links in my bio. And while I have everybody here, remember, if you were a part of my Discord, or if you want to be a part of my Discord, I do have my new Discord link in my link tree. So make sure you're joining that also, along with my pay links and all that fun stuff too. All right, we're about to open up the phone lines over here. We got another super chat. Shishi said, bro is either the best or worst cult representative I've ever heard. Do some research instead of watching Fox News. That's funny. He's either the best or the worst, and we're not even sure which one. Just one of the two. Just one of the two. Hello, how are you today?
Hold on 1 second. Excuse me, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, how old are you?
I'm actually currently 17.
All right, sorry, man. You have to be 18. Hello?
Hey,
Hi, how old are you?
are you on stream?
Nope. How about you?
Oh,
Hello?
hello?
Hello? Guys, I'm trying to be nice to YouTubers and give them preferential treatment over here. I will just switch to a TikTok guest if I can't get an adult in here. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, how old are you?
18.
Awesome. What year were you born?
2006.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Why is that?
Well, there's multiple reasons why I support Trump, but probably most recently, I do like his border policies.
All right. Which border policy do you like?
Yep. Well, first of all, I'm going to let you know, just to fact check you a little bit previously, how you were talking about Joe Biden and his stance over the border, right? You saying your opinion on it is that the border was mostly secure, correct? Is that what your opinion was during Biden's run?
That's an arbitrary and subjective statement.
Okay, that's fair. So, 1.7 million people entering the country is subjective or objective?
That was the last study from the Pew Research Center and Council for Immigration.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
that's not.
I do
It's
agree with
it's
you.
still not objective because it's a projected
Sure.
number.
Sure, that's fine. I just like to let people know on how much crap he brought into the country at this time. All right. Then we'll move on to Trump and show obviously what he didn't do. So this is from the Budget House, by the way. This is from the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability.
Yeah. So let me be very clear before you get to
Yeah,
that source.
sure.
You do understand
Yeah.
that the House Budget Committee can go up there and say anything, and is not a source, nor are they backed by any type of data, nor do they have any requirement to be honest.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. I have more sources here from.
That's
New York
fine.
Times.
I would
Sure.
advise I would advise you to use a better source
Sure.
when literally
Okay.
Wikipedia was a better source than that.
I don't think that's true, but
It is
okay,
true.
Sure.
Yeah, because again, sir,
Wikipedia
that's just some people
Sorry.
on the House that are just saying some stuff. Like there's no like a House representative can be a part of that committee and go up there and just say like the flying spaghetti monster is real and we should all worship it, and that becomes a public record on that same website.
Sure. Okay, that's fine.
Mhm.
Well, yeah. I hope you agree with what I'm saying here, which is probably factual, but I'm trying to say that over 50,000 pounds of fentanyl was brought in through the south border during this whole crisis. Very dangerous crisis, by the way, which is terrible. Honestly, that many pounds of fentanyl could probably wipe out this country in another. Anyway, there's also, according to New York Times, there was 24,000 Chinese citizens crossing from Mexico into the United States in 2023 alone, and over 35,000 illegal immigrants with criminal convictions were apprehended. Okay, so I'm just telling you this as a precursor to what I'm about to say, that Biden did not do a good job with the border, and did not really follow the policy at all for the American people. He strayed away from that. I know you don't like me saying open border, right? But it was technically a unsecured border, clearly, because these things were happening.
Yeah.
And Trump did better.
So let
Now
me
he
go
has
ahead. Let me go ahead and make some comments
Okay,
on the
sure.
things you said.
Sure,
Right.
sure.
So the first thing that you said is
Yeah.
that there was a certain amount of pounds of fentanyl that was brought over the border.
Yeah.
We also have the data to show that over 90% of that fentanyl, or sorry, it was 89% off the last data that I saw. 89% of that fentanyl was brought over by American citizens. So therefore, doesn't in any way bolster your argument.
Where's the source?
I can pull it up. That's not a problem.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, that's fine. So first of all, 90% of it's brought over by American citizens. That doesn't really do anything.
Okay.
You telling me
Still
that
pretty
they're,
bad.
sir, stand by. I'm going to attack all your, I'm going to go through all the points and then you're more than welcome to respond. Okay. So
All
first
right.
of all, American
All right.
citizens. So it doesn't help your immigration policy. Second of all, you just said 24,000 people from China. Is that supposed to bother me? Or like, am I supposed to be like more upset
no,
at the
it's
fact that
because
they are
the-
Chinese? Hold on, sir.
No.
Sir.
Okay.
Shh. I'm going to address all three of your points, and then you are more than welcome to respond. Okay? Awesome. So the fact that somebody is Chinese does not in any way hurt my feelings or make things worse or better. Okay? It doesn't change anything for me, considering that China is one of the places that we get a lot of our legal migration from. Okay? We have lots of businessmen and lots of visas that come from China and all that sort of stuff anyway. The third thing that you said, see, now you broke my concentration. You talked about fentanyl. You talked about Chinese citizens. Well, the third thing is you said that they apprehended so many thousands of people that had criminal records. Thank you. That's a very good thing. I appreciate that. You're now telling me again that the border was not open because Border Patrol is apprehending and stopping people that have criminal records. That is their job. I want Border Patrol to stop people that have criminal records. That's a good thing.
May I respond?
Yes. See, I've addressed all of your points and now I'm quiet. Yes.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Just making sure. I don't want you to shush me again. I want to first make a counterpoint on the fentanyl, like you just said. Yes, that's probably true. I want you to pull up that source because people in the chat are recommending that. I'd like you to be honest on your side of that. Second of all, I want to talk about the Chinese citizens. Yes, when I say Chinese citizens, I mean CCP.
It's insane.
CCP inspired Chinese citizens. I'm not being. That's not just an ambiguous statement on whoever crosses the border. I don't care what color, skin, whatever. This is dangerous because China owns most of the land here, and they have power too. And getting these Chinese spies into our country is not a good thing. Next
Sir,
point.
Well, I just want to say that I have no. You're fine. I have Department of Homeland Security.gov and seizing deadly drugs in the United States to save American lives. More than 90% of interdicted fentanyl stopped at port of entries where cartels attempt to smuggle in primary in vehicles driven by U.S. citizens. But it's up on the screen for everyone to read it. You're good.
Oh yeah. You said driven by U.S. citizens, but does that mean that the cartels were? Let me see that the cartels attempted to smuggle in primarily in vehicles driven by U.S. citizens. Okay. Does that mean the U.S. citizens were in the car driving with the smugglers, or did they steal the U.S. citizen's car? I'm a little confused in that sentence. Can you please elaborate?
Vehicles driven by U.S. citizens. So therefore, U.S. citizens were the ones smuggling.
Oh, okay. So that I don't really understand that point and what it compares to when I told you about the pounds of fentanyl over the border. It didn't matter if a U.S. citizen, a Chinese citizen, an Indian citizen helped with that. I'm just telling you that Biden's security in the national border was not sufficient enough, and clearly he couldn't even control U.S. citizens helping other cartels smuggle all these drugs over the country. So, I hope you can refute your point there because I don't see a point.
Unless you're going to give me the numbers of fentanyl that was brought over by American citizens under the Trump administration to make a comparison, then I don't know whether the number that you gave me was better or worse.
They said it said over 50,000 pounds. So
cool. And what was it the last year Trump was in presidency, or the year before that, or the year before that? Was it 40,000? Was it 60,000? Was it 10? Was it a million? What was it?
Okay, that's fine. Well, we can look
and
at...
again, sir, hold on. And again, sir,
Sure.
Again, sir, you're saying that Border Patrol stopped that much from coming in, which means again...
Yeah, I wasn't done.
Yeah, but again, that means that Border Patrol was, again, doing their job.
No, yeah.
And the border was closed, and so therefore they were stopping more. I want my Border Patrol to stop more.
Okay. First of all, I want to say with those 35,000 illegal immigrants, how many more are in those 1.7 or so million known gotaways?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to get at right now. And we can obviously see in the past couple of months...
Do you know?
In the past... I don't know. That's a scary thing, sir.
So it could be one.
No, you can't have definitives in an argument, sir. You can never have definitives in an argument.
Yes, I can. I just did. So it could be one.
No. Okay. Yeah, you're right. It could be one, but that's still one too many, and that's still 35,001 more.
Gotcha, sir.
Biden
All right.
should have allowed.
Well, if it was one, I'm pretty cool with it. To be honest with you, that's pretty good.
You're
Because
pretty
you can't.
cool with those illegal aliens with criminal convictions, raping or killing and murdering people?
That is not what I said at all, sir. Please
You
don't
said
try
you're
to change
okay
my
with it.
argument. No, I said I'm cool with
Okay.
one person that we don't know about coming over. I did not say anything about them being a violent criminal. I did not say anything about them doing anything to
That was the
American
context.
citizens.
That was the context.
No, it wasn't.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's move on to the next topic. Let's move on.
You do realize that was a ridiculous argument, right?
No, it wasn't. I'm just. showing
Okay,
you
I'm
that
sorry. Let me
Biden's
change that.
terrible job.
That was a really bad argument.
Okay, how is it a bad argument?
Yeah,
How?
because you're again, sir. Just because someone comes over here doesn't mean they're necessarily bad. Just because an immigrant comes over here doesn't mean that they're bad. Okay, just because a Chinese immigrant comes over here doesn't mean that they're necessarily bad. So you can't just sit there and relate to a certain point, like saying, "Oh, because migrants are coming over, they're automatically bad," right? When we see the statistics also say that undocumented migrants in this country commit violent crime at a rate 30 times less than American citizens do. So on average, if you're going to take a bunch of if you take a large group of undocumented immigrants, they are more safe than American citizens are.
Okay, hold on. You said that they weren't bad, correct? Those immigrants?
Of course, there is a certain percentage of all groups of people that are bad. I said by
Of course. But hold on, let me respond to that.
the entire group of things, they are less dangerous as far as violent crime.
Okay, so let me tell you. So you're saying that those people that cross the border illegally aren't criminals. It doesn't matter what they've. It doesn't. I'm just telling you what the violent criminals were. I'm not just talking about the criminals in general. If you cross the border, that's a criminal. That's a class B misdemeanor.
E.
So they're still bad.
E.
Oh, sorry, class B.
E.
What?
Echo. Class E
No.
misdemeanor.
I don't think so. I think there's a class B.
Yeah, sir. Yes, they are criminals in the same way that every person who's gotten a speeding ticket is a criminal. The same way everybody who has jaywalked is a criminal. For every
Yep,
child
okay,
that,
yep.
the
First
same
of
way
all,
that
it's a
every
false-
child that stole a Snickers bar out of a gas station is a criminal. Yeah, sir. If by your qualification of
For sure.
criminals, the large majority of Americans are criminals.
Okay. To refute that argument, I like to say the difference between a jaywalking and crossing the border illegally is actually Class C and a Class B. And what that entails is the Class B has up to, I don't know, some price of a fine and up to 2 years in prison versus the Class C misdemeanor, which is where you're saying jaywalking, which is barely apprehended by cops, right? Nobody really cares anymore. And that only has up to a fine and a warning. There's a
That's
huge
very
difference.
state dependent, sir, and you're that because those aren't
It's not
federal laws.
State dependent? Okay.
That is
search it up
state
then.
dependent.
See the
Florida,
difference.
you can go to prison in Florida for speeding.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, yes, that's true. Reckless speeding over 30. Yes, you're correct. And
Yeah.
that's dangerous. I don't understand your point. You're comparing speeding.
No, you're just
very
making a
dangerous
comparison, sir. You're trying to paint freaking migrants as criminals, like, and it's
They
really
are.
just kind of
They're
sad.
criminals.
No, sir, they're not
They're not.
criminals. Okay, they're
Really?
they're
They're not
not.
criminals.
No,
What's the definition of criminal? Tell me.
to someone who commits a crime, but
Okay,
but
when
on the
they
most
cross
part,
the border,
that
they committed a
that
crime.
type that
Boom.
level of misdemeanor is considered a civil offense in most states.
Okay, so well, that doesn't matter because they can still get jail time and they're obviously getting deported. So I don't understand your point.
I don't understand yours.
Really? Okay. My point in clear ending is that Biden did a terrible job with his immigrants, and immigrants are criminals, no matter if they committed violent crimes or they're crossing the border, which is a crime. That's my stance, and that Trump should deport them all.
Sir, again, Donald Trump doesn't even have that stance. So you're not even agreeing with Donald Trump on your own stance because Donald Trump just came out just very, very recently, like a few days ago, and said that he doesn't want to start raiding places and deporting immigrants from agriculture and hospitality industries. So Donald Trump doesn't even believe that we need to deport them all.
I know you're gonna say that, but that's a recalibration.
Yes, I get it. The Fox News said recalibration a bunch of times, and you guys keep repeating it back. No, sir, I'm pretty sure that every debater that I talked to didn't all get together in one little meeting and then try to all say recalibration. Okay, I don't care, sir. I don't care, sir. I don't care what words you want to use. Okay, you can use recalibration. You could use a change of mind. You can use whatever part of the English language you want to use in it, okay? Doesn't change anything for me at all. You're saying that every single person that crosses the board is a criminal, so therefore should be deported. And
They are.
Donald
Yes.
and Donald Trump is not. Period, point blank. Okay, he's not. Okay, so
Did you read the
therefore,
rest of that little article on CNN you're looking at?
I don't read articles on CNN. This is just what he said. He actually specifically after that said we need to start going after people in blue cities, which doesn't even make any fucking sense.
You know what blue cities means? Don't.
No, I don't. Almost all cities are blue.
No, actually, I mean, look at the chart for the past presidential election. You could see otherwise. But anyway,
Okay, what major cities are traditionally like not blue?
not blue?
Mm-hmm.
Texas, Florida, Utah,
Wow.
Wyoming.
Those are some of my favorite
Yeah.
cities.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Cities? I didn't know Texas was a city.
I didn't either, but when I asked you for what cities aren't traditionally blue, you said Texas.
You said states, sir.
No, I
mean,
didn't.
first states. Okay, that might have been my fault. I digress. Okay, so what I wanted to say finally before we move on to this,
What
because
cities
it's getting-
aren't traditionally blue?
What cities
Mhm.
aren't traditionally blue? So what cities are red? You're asking me what cities are red, like in Republican
Sure.
red. Okay, Ocala, Florida.
Ocala, Florida. That's your
Yeah.
your city.
That's not my city. I just named a city.
That's barely a town. I said
Ocala,
what
Florida.
cities? That's
That's a
not a
city.
city. Ocala.
Okay, this is getting stupid.
95% of
That's a-
Americans couldn't even point out Ocala on a map. Where? Give me a city, dude.
Ocala is a city.
You know what? That's fine. If that's where we have to get
It is.
to, where
Yeah.
let's see.
Sure.
How big is Ocala, Florida? I'm just curious. I'm wondering where it ranks in like the. Let's see. Let's go population. Let's
Sure.
go population. 64,000
lot.
people.
Yep.
Yeah, that's like 2 apartment buildings in New York. Okay? Like, what are you talking
not-
about Ocala,
wait.
bro?
What's
Ocala is
your
not even a
point?
top 10 biggest city in Florida.
I don't care.
Okay?
Doesn't matter. You said
That is
name
a
city.
town.
I named a city.
that is a
Town.
town, bro.
If you go on Google Maps and zoom in, you'll see that Ocala is a major point. It's a city.
Bro. Okay. You know what?
All right, we'll move on.
You can totally have that one. You win. The first
you.
the
Thank you.
largest red city this guy could name is like the 18th biggest
Hold on.
city in
Hold on.
Florida.
Don't put words in my mouth. You never said largest. You just said name a city. All right, just name a city. All right, fair enough. All right, fair.
There were so many better cities you could have chosen.
That's so true.
Because
man.
there are cities that are red. They're just not the really big and populated ones. They're not really the ones that matter. I could give you an example. I could say something like I don't know, like Huntsville or Birmingham, right, in Alabama. Those are
Sure.
those are pretty like red cities. Oklahoma City would be a good example, right? A little bit larger,
Yep.
right? Those would be cities. But traditionally, traditionally, cities are blue. Okay. Cities are blue, okay? And the reason for that is normally when you have a lot more populated areas and people are
That's
more
true,
compacted in, you have a lot more compassion for other people, right? Because you have a mix of a lot of people. You have people from all different races, all different backgrounds, all different ethnicities, all different
Wait.
from all different countries, right?
implying-
And when you,
Are you implying?
sir, I haven't even finished my
Sorry.
statement, so I'm not implying anything yet.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, awesome. So when you put all those people together, what you tend to have is more tolerance, and the left is normally more tolerant.
Okay. My simple question to that is, where's the scientific and data for that statement? And second of all, you're making an implication that those cities have better grouped together. And if that's true, then why is there more crime in major cities? Second of all, are you leaving out the fact that other suburbs and other areas don't have those type of connections in towns, not cities? Those are my 3 points.
Yes,
Let's
I am
move on.
making.
This is
I am.
dumb.
I am saying all of those things 100%. Right? Because when you
So
have
you're
a
saying
city,
that
when you have a city that is spread out, more spread out with a more amount of people, and people aren't living on top of each other, then no, you don't have the same forced interactions that you have in a larger city. 100%. Second of all, the fact that those cities exist is the proof. Whenever you put these large amounts of people together, they tend to turn blue. That is the proof.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
it's not even a difficult like place to put your head in. Like I live in a small town, right? Well,
Sure.
sorry, what I considered a very small town, but it has over half the population of Ocala. Okay. So my town has like 35,000 people. People are very spread out. There isn't a lot of diversity in this type of area, right? People aren't forced to have different interactions, and this place is very, very red. It carried the Republican by like 50 points in my county. Okay, it's not abnormal. But I'm from California, right? And where I'm from in California, you grow up around
California's
people.
a rough state.
What's up?
California's a rough state, man.
No, it's an amazing state. But I grew up in California, right? But in California, it wasn't uncommon for me to be around, gay people or immigrants or any other like form of people that exist in the world, right? And so when you grow up and people like Donald Trump try to go, oh, I hate trans people, like someone that grew up in the place that I grew up goes, that's fucking horrible because I know trans people and they're great people, right? Or I grew up around immigrants. So when he tries to demonize immigrants, I'm obviously not going to go for any policy that says that because I grew up around immigrants, right? It's pretty standard. When you have people that are, again, that have a forced interaction with, then you learn that most people are, regardless of who they come, there's shitty people and there's bad people, but it doesn't really matter. You don't demonize entire groups of people like that traditionally. And of course, there's exceptions to all of this, but that's just a traditional stance.
Okay, let's move on to a different topic now. I think this is getting a little bit off topic. Let's talk about something a little spicy, all right? Let's talk about Trump's transgender bill, not allowing transgender athletes in opposite gender sports according to their birth, right? Their gender assigned at birth. I do appreciate that. I really do like that because I think it's unfair just for all the people involved in the sport.
That's
So I got to.
fucking sad.
Is it? You don't?
Yeah, it's super
you like-
sad that you have the president of the United States who's arguably, if not unarguably, the most powerful person on the planet, and one of the big things you want to talk about is a policy that affected 12 people. See, the president that I have, in the country that I love, I need my president to do things that affect all people, right? All the people across the United States. We have economic issues. Oh, no, I'm not holding on. I'm still speaking. We have problems right now with our economy. I would like that fixed. We actually do have immigration issues that we've had for a long time. I also want that fixed, right? Right now, we're not sure if we're going to go to war with Iran or not. I have a lot of things that I want the American president. Yeah, I want the American president dealing with those things, not 12 people in NCAA in sports that nobody watches, nor does anybody fucking care about. Okay, like nobody.
What do you mean? I care about them. What are you talking about?
Cool. Name 3 of the trans people that were in the NCAA of the 12, and tell me what sport they played.
Okay, sure. Leah Thompson, swimming. Cece Telfer, track and field. Renee Richards, tennis.
Sir,
Andrea Ewart.
You didn't even know how to pronounce it. You're obviously reading it.
It doesn't matter. I still gave you the information.
You're obviously reading.
Yeah, I have my information ready.
You don't know any of these people, nor do you care about any of these fucking sports, dude.
What are you talking about?
Dude, get out of here, man. That is sad, bro. That is sad.
Am I wrong?
There are 12 people. Sir, the point is you had to look it up. The fact that you had to look it up, the fact that you have them there ready means you don't give a shit.
What does that mean?
You don't
it's
care, sir.
Okay, no.
You don't care, okay? And that's fine. And it's ridiculous because this is just a talking point about something that you don't even fucking care about, okay?
So is it wrong?
It's
Is it wrong for men to compete in women's sports?
Sir, it is. I think it's the catch rule in the NFL is wrong, okay?
I don't care. I'm not.
I think that the way that freaking NBA players are able to travel is wrong. Okay.
That's different.
I don't think a lot of different things. I don't think a lot of different things in sports are okay.
Sure.
But just because they're not doesn't mean that I think our federal government should be in there changing them. Okay, I think that the sports have the ability to deal with what the sports are dealing with on their own without the federal government impeding into those sports to make rules and say whether or not things can happen. Okay, you guys want to make this entire identity politics thing about trans people because it's beneficial to you, because you guys can't fucking actually get your economics right. You guys can't get your foreign policy right. You want to make this whole thing about about trans people, and it's sad. Trans people are just trying to live their life and doing their things. If there's parity in the sports and the sports are okay with it, then the sports should have the ability to deal with that. Okay. If they're not, then the sports are going to deal with that on their own. I don't think that it's the federal government's job, nor do I want it to be the federal government's job to step in and have anything to do with what's going on in these situations.
Okay, so you just want men and women's sports, is what you're saying. You want men to take
Sir,
the
were you not even
spotlight.
listening to the words that I just said?
No, everything you said was garbage. You're just talking about the NFL, the NBA, random stuff. Like this is
Okay.
This is
Well, you know what?
important.
Everybody else out there understood exactly what I'm saying. If you don't have that ability,
Really?
that's okay.
Okay, answer my question still. Do you agree with
I already
men
did.
and women's sports?
I already
Do you-
did.
Do you want to repeat it?
No, I'm not going to.
No, you don't. So you just have no.
Sir,
opinion on
why
it.
would I waste my breath because of your lack of understanding?
It's not my lack of understanding. It's what Trump did that no other president really hasn't, or just stood up.
Yes, sir. There are tons
stood
of
up
things
for
that the president can do that I don't care
Yeah.
whether he does or not either. Okay. He also said that we're now allowed to use plastic straws again. Okay.
it. Great.
I
That's
don't
great.
care.
Yeah. You know, hey, besides the point,
No,
paper
not
straws
besides the
suck,
point.
right?
I don't
You know
care.
paper straws suck, though.
I want
They
the
suck.
president to do president stuff, not just make up rules just to fucking make up rules, because that is
No,
fucking
it's
boring.
the little things too, man. The little things matter too.
Okay, well,
This probably helps.
then I'm glad you're real happy about the straws and and having the president, who was supposed to be fucking a deal maker, not make any deals, who was supposed to be a peacemaker, not make any fucking peace. But hell, at least you got 12 people out of sports and you got your straws back. Like that's
Yeah,
a
man.
very, very
That's
small, like kind of
Great.
sad way to think in life. But hey, that's
So
on
you
you,
can-
man.
Yeah.
But
You can
regardless
drink
of
your
any of
Starbucks.
that, I'm bored with you. Okay.
Hold on.
And so
Let me finish. One more question.
no.
One more question.
Have a
I know you
wonderful
wanna
day.
hang up.
Okay.
Wait. What is the woman?
All right, cool. Guys, you guys think that like when I say like I'm done with you, that like I'm like, oh, let me just talk about more. I've been talking to you for half an hour and you've said nothing intelligent. All right, let's get to some super chats and then we'll move on to the next caller. Velvet said you didn't let him say his last thing. Okay. Edward says, anyways, can you talk about the consumer price index? Sure, we can talk about CPI. But you'd have to bring up somebody to do that. East Oakland, talking to Trump supporters is like talking to a wall. LO, fake news this, fake news that. This must be talking about the previous guest. Yeah. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. Lavender says no kings. Hell yeah. Can we get some no kings in the chat? Hell yeah. Let's get a bunch of no kings in the chat from Lavender over here. Velvet, yeah. The fact that he had those names listed, he had the names listed, but didn't learn how to pronounce them first. That's what's funny. He literally took his time to find out the names to not pronounce them correctly. That's what's funny. I'm not clowning him for researching. I'm clowning him for pretending like he cares when he doesn't. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. And that's all it is.
It's insane.
Either care or don't care, bro. Bro, I can see television ratings. Nobody is watching college women's wrestling. No one. Okay? No one. I promise you. Hello, welcome to the live. How are you today?
How are you today?
I'm doing excellent. How old are you?
I am 50 years old.
Did you say 50? 50?
50.
All right, awesome. Do you support Trump?
I support some things about Trump, but what I want to bring to you is a different perspective.
It's
You seem to be very
insane.
intelligent. And I want to bring to you something that I've noticed over my years. Have you ever given it a thought to the idea that perhaps the fighting that you do between the Republicans and the Democrats is all made up. That the people in charge actually know each other.
All right. I'm going to move on to the next guest because that was already boring. Don't even want to like go down that. Like just got better things to do than that. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. How old are you?
28.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
I do.
Awesome.
Well,
Why is that?
I did, but
Hold on. You do or you did?
I do at the moment because he's my president. I probably would never vote for him again.
Yeah. So if Hitler was your president, would you support him?
Probably not.
Why not? He's your president.
Well, because there's a line between, committing actual genocide and just being a shit politician.
So just being the president does not automatically gain your support. So you're saying that. So you're not consistent here already.
I'm sorry.
Our job is not to just support blindly against the president, right? Our job is to be critical of our politicians. That's the one really awesome thing that we get to do in this country is to be critical of our politicians, right? 100%. In lots of other countries, if you're critical of your politicians, then they throw you in jail or they disappear you, right? So saying that you support Donald Trump's actions just because he's the president doesn't make any sense. That's the entire point of why we're having these conversations. We support the president when he's doing things that are good for America, and we don't support the president when he's not doing things that are good for America. And that's the same accountability that we should hold to our congressmen and women. That's the same thing we should hold to our mayors. That's the same thing we should hold to our police officers, right? Any type of public servant, when they are doing things that are beneficial for America, we should thank them for that and be proud of them for that. And then they stop doing things and they start doing things that are against America. We should stop them and be critical of them.
I 100% agree. I literally could not agree more with that statement.
Awesome. So do you support Trump?
Yes, at the moment I do.
Okay, why is that?
Well, I agree with what he's doing. I agree with him trying to help the middle class. I agree with him trying to better the life of the average American.
All right, and how is he trying to help the middle class?
The biggest one that I can absolutely say he is doing is the no tax on tips and overtime.
Awesome. So what you're saying is Donald Trump's best policy is the left policy that he has?
I honestly don't know if it's a left policy. I just know he's pushing for it, so I agree with him.
Yeah, so the no tax on tips and no tax on overtime was a policy that was originally brought up by Bernie Sanders, actually. He was the one that first originally introduced that when he ran in 2016. The only difference between Donald Trump's bill with no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and Bernie Sanders' bill is Bernie Sanders' bill put a limit on it, right? And so there was an amount of money that you could make where you couldn't do that anymore, right? And that was to make sure that it was used by the right people, that our bartenders, our baristas, the people that wash your car, whatever, tipped. Well, I mean, at this point, I think you just tip everybody. Like for my computer repair guy had a tip thing on his computer, whatever. They just tip everybody right now, but it was for, to try to limit it to people that were tipped workers, right? Donald Trump's bill doesn't have that in there. So now that there's a lot of things, hedge fund managers, for example, that can now use this no tax on tips, no tax on overtime to now pretty much just cheat their way out of taxes, right? And that's the biggest problem with Donald Trump's bill is actually the people that are going to benefit the most from it are the rich people. And let's be honest, right? Like I don't have a problem with no tax on tips, right? I do this every day. That means every dollar that I get from doing these type of lives is now tax-free. You're not hurting my feelings, okay? I just wish that it was, a policy that was actually more guided towards, our waitresses, our bartenders, the people in the lower and middle class that actually really need it.
Okay, so according to Congress.gov, it is capped. The one that's passed the House and is moving to the Senate, the one that is in the middle of Congress right now, it does have a limit of $25,000 in tips.
Oh, awesome. They added that in there in the Senate.
Under the No Tax on Tips Act, workers claim 100% deduction for eligible cash tip income, but only up to $25,000 per tax year.
I'm not arguing with you.
There. Oh, I know.
I'm saying the limit wasn't there.
I was giving my research.
Sir, if they change the limit, that's awesome.
I agree. I was giving you the data.
If they change the limit, that's awesome. Look, again, sir, you're not going to hurt my feelings anyway. This is a leftist policy. I'm cool with it.
But no, I actually would love to ask you a question to clarify something that you said earlier. in this conversation. You said we should hold our politicians accountable. My question is, why don't we?
I don't know, sir. Why don't you?
Well, why don't you?
I do. That's what I'm literally doing right now.
So what action have you taken for the
that's
politician-
literally well, sir. I talk to hundreds of thousands of people a day criticizing my politicians. What do you do?
I'm starting a political movement.
You're starting a political movement. What political movement are you starting?
It's called the Founders.
Okay, and what do they do?
The goal is accountability, 100%, no questions asked, accountability. If you break a law, regardless of the law, regardless of who you are, title, status, whatever, you need to face the consequences of that law.
Yet you are literally supporting a president who is a literal felon. Okay, the only reason he
suffered the consequences.
Sir, I'm
of
not.
the felony.
I wasn't near finished.
You're right. I apologize.
I wasn't near finished. Okay. He's a felon for 34 counts of the 80 plus counts that he actually had against him. And the only reason that he's not being prosecuted on those counts is because he's the president, right? And he had a whole shit ton of people that committed violent acts and all sorts of other acts on January 6th. And he pardoned all of those people. So therefore not holding them accountable for the things that they did.
May I ask which violent acts you're referring to?
Which violent acts? You do realize there was over 144 Capitol police officers that were injured on January 6th, right? You know, there was people
last I checked, there was no listed injuries.
Then you need to go Google that, the same place that you Googled this no tax on tips thing.
Why? If I had the correct information.
Anyways, so there was violent acts. There was guns brought to the January 6th protest. They confiscated dozens of them. They had plans to, they really brought a gallows and were freaking threatening to hang the vice president of the United States. There were tons of violent acts. And again, Donald Trump pardoned all of those. So how are you going to say that the person who is a felon, who had the only reason he's not freaking being tried for more felonies is because he's the president, and who pardoned people who were violent criminals who had felony convictions in a court of law with their peers? Okay, how are you going to say you support him and then support complete freaking transparency when it comes to, to criminals in politics?
Because he is a convicted felon, and he paid his fines. He took accountability, and the law made him take accountability. I didn't say that we have to punish people to the utmost of the law. I said we need to hold them accountable to the law. He was held accountable.
Sir, he had 3 other indictments that the only reason he's not being held accountable for is because he's president. You're just talking about one indictment. There was 4.
I understand.
And the only reason that those
hold him accountable for those. Are we going to prosecute him while he's president? No, that'll look weak to the rest of the world. We can't.
Gotcha. So you don't want what you said.
I do want what I said.
No, you don't. You literally were like, it's called the Founders Project. And I'm saying that if you commit a crime, no matter what, you should be held accountable for it. And now you're saying you should be held accountable for it unless you become the president, because that might look weak.
No, sir. I just said prosecute him after he's done being president. He's only president for 4 years.
Gotcha. So you don't want our politicians held accountable. Copy all.
I do want our politicians.
I'm just letting you know right now, your little political movement is not going to go very far if you can't stay consistent for 3 minutes in this conversation.
Okay. I understand how that seems. I am saying to hold him accountable. We cannot persecute our our leader of the country because it will look weak to the world in a time where world stability is shit.
But sir, at the time, he wasn't the president. He had all of those indictments, and you still voted for him.
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. So again, you voted for him.
Those indictments mean he can't be president.
Sir, I'm not asking whether he can be president. You're the one saying that our politicians should be held accountable. These were literal indictments that were on Donald Trump that he should have been held accountable for, but you voted for him anyways, and now are advocating for him not being held accountable. Okay, this is your
I am not
stance, not
advocating
mine.
for him to
yes,
not be
you
accountable.
are. You're saying right
am
now.
not.
Yes, you
not
are,
once
sir.
have
You're
I
saying
said Donald
it will
Trump is
look
not
weak.
accountable.
It will look weak in front of people. Who
To
cares, sir? If we're
prosecute, to prosecute.
holding our politicians accountable, then it should not matter how weak it makes us look because they are fucking criminals and we're supposed to be holding them accountable. Is that correct or not? Or do you not want them to be held accountable just because of something else? Sir, you have to stay consistent here. I am really trying to freaking help you out here, but your movement is really going to fail if you can't figure out whether you want them held accountable or not.
I already said I wanted them accountable.
Okay, then maybe you should get consistent with that and actually freaking try to hold Donald Trump accountable for the things that he's doing right now, okay? Not to mention the things that he's already doing where he's already going against the Constitution, okay? Not only those things, but the things where he's already...
Name one thing he's done that's that goes
kicked
against
the AP
Constitution.
News out of the White House, which was called a violation of the First Amendment by the court system already. Or his illegal deportation of Kilmore Abreu Garcia, which goes against our due process clause in the Constitution, which was said it was a violation of the Constitution by the Supreme Court. That's just a name too.
I didn't have the information on the deportation one, so you know what? I apologize. He should be held accountable for that. I did not know this. As for the first one, I apologize. Getting worked up. Can you please restate the first point that you gave me?
Which I don't know. I've given you lots of points.
No, sir. You gave me two examples of how he's broken the Constitution. The deportation without due process, 100%.
Oh, AP News.
So did he ban all news or just AP News?
Just AP News.
Then he didn't break free speech. All the other news sites are still there.
Yeah. Well, the courts and the judges disagree with you. The people whose job it is to interpret the Constitution disagree with you. I'm not saying that I'm saying he broke the First Amendment. I'm saying that the court says he did.
You're right, but then I disagree. If AP News was the only one cut out, then I vehemently disagree. I think that he is not breaking the First Amendment because all the other news sites are still there.
Sir, regardless of any of that, he still has the Fifth Amendment. He still has the 14th Amendment. He still has tons of amendments, okay, that he's literally either breaking or trying to break right now. Okay? Again, sir, like if you're going to make your stance, you should be held accountable. First of all, you're going to have a really, really rough time with Donald Trump. Okay, so just to let you know,
there's nothing I can do till he's out of office.
Yes, sir. There is something you can do. If you're trying to start a political movement that says that politicians should be held accountable, then I advise you go after the president, that the person who is literally the highest politician, who should literally be held the most accountable. That's the start, okay? It's going to be very, very difficult to start a political movement if you're not going after the main culprit of the entire thing, okay? So let's start there, okay? Because honestly, on its face, I have no problem with holding fucking politicians accountable for the crimes that they commit. And I believe that for the left and the fucking right. All day long. I don't care. I think that the money should get out of politics, and I think that we have a lot of work to do on getting the crime out of politics. I think that is very, very huge. But we have to start with the president who is a felon that has 3 more indictments, who's currently breaking the Constitution. We have to start there. Okay? If we can't, if we as American people can't look at someone like Donald Trump and go, well, we're talking about crime in politics, he is the biggest example of that. If we can't start there, then literally the entire point of your entire argument falls on deaf ears and literally cannot be made into anything, because literally the entire thing is null and void if we can't start by holding Donald Trump accountable. And that's what we get to do. That's what we need to do. And that's where we need to start. And that starts with our words and starts with our rhetoric. That starts with things like the No Kings protest.
I 100% agree we need to hold him accountable. However, there's a time and place for things. Second off, we're not going to change anything. We're not going to fix anything for at least another decade. Not as long as our government is still run by baby boomers. They are the ones that are running the country. They are the ones that are running the corporate entities. They're the ones in charge. They're the ones that built the system that we currently live in that has given people like Donald Trump the chance to do what he's doing. We're never going to change anything so long as they are alive and in power. So, yes, what I'm trying to do right now is kind of pointless. I'll totally agree with you. I don't expect to win. Hell, I don't even expect my movement to go anywhere. I'm just trying to do something. And I want to do something to better this world. I understand that me being a Trump supporter already paints me in a bad light. I've accepted that. That's who I voted for, and that's who I have to stand by because that was my choice.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You are 50 years old, man. No, you don't. You in no way have to stand by that. It is not even like there's entire movements of people who voted for Donald Trump who are realizing that they made a mistake and moving forward their life and changing their rhetoric and changing their stances. You can totally do that. And no, you're
And
wrong.
that's what I'm doing.
No, you're not. You're up here literally supporting Donald Trump on this live right now, dude. You're not doing that, okay? And second of all, we're not changing things by just saying, oh, we're just going to have to wait till the boomers. Those boomers were voted in by us.
100%.
And they can be voted the fuck out. We have midterms
Then why
next
haven't
year.
they?
Huh?
Then why haven't they?
Why have there's fucking tons of reasons why they haven't, including for starting with money in politics and ending in people are just fucking too lazy or too freaking concerned with their everyday lives or whatever fucking reason to actually get out there and vote. There's tons of them. There comes from misinformed voters. There's tons of reasons why freaking these boomers keep being voted in. Okay, but I tell you what, and I'm gonna just start with this. Okay, we are not going to get them out unless we are having the right conversations about getting them out. Okay, and that starts with criticizing the president that's 80 years old, okay? Or whatever old he is. I don't even remember. Fucking a billion or whatever, okay? When we're not voting for people like that, okay? And I'll take the credit for Biden too. I voted for Biden, whatever, 5 years ago now, okay? He was too old too, okay? I'll take my hit on that, okay? Probably should have stood up more of a stance on that, okay? But we got to start voting in people that are younger, okay?
100%.
Right. And that's why, yes, Biden was voted in. I voted for Biden. I don't know. Maybe I was just so fucking sick of Trump. I would have voted for anybody else. But regardless of that, okay, that was still wrong. We need to let these political parties know that we're not going to sit there and let them freaking vote in 80-year-olds anymore. Okay, we're not going to do it. And that requires a movement, that requires us speaking, that requires us having conversations like this, that requires us to actually be honest about our politicians and realize that when Donald Trump yesterday, just this week, said that freaking he made a deal with the EU just because he was talking to the UK Prime Minister, who's not even part of the EU anymore, and is dropping blank papers about a freaking political deal, we should all be standing up and going, yo, what's going on? The same way that people did with Biden when he freaking had that debate. And everybody was like, whoa, hey, that ain't right. You know what I'm saying? That ain't
100%.
right. He's too fucking old. Where's all those people that said that shit about Donald Trump? Where are they at? Or about Joe Biden? Where are they all now with Donald Trump when he's literally up there just saying fucking nonsense?
I'm right there with you. I support his policy. I don't support the man.
Okay. Well, you should start with the man and then you can move to policy because Donald Trump literally has not passed any policy whatsoever. So I really don't know what you're talking about with that. But I mean, exactly, the Laken Riley Act, which is pretty much a repetitive policy already, and the big beautiful bill, which was literally funny because all of the Republicans told me forever that we should have standalone bills and we can't have all these bills with all these things stacked up against each other with all this pork, and all of a sudden Donald Trump comes in and everybody wants one giant bill. It's crazy, man. It's really insane.
I disagree with that as well.
So what policy has he passed that you like?
He's trying to pass, like I already stated, the taxes. He also ran. Hang on, let me get it. I have my notes. Sorry, pulling us out of the Paris Accords. It wasn't necessary for us to be a part of the Paris Accords. If you look at the CO emissions, America was already cleaner than every country and past the point that the Paris Accords wanted the countries to reach. There was no reason for us to be a part of it anymore, and he removed us from it.
If we were already past it and our presence was helping other countries, then why was it a bad thing to stay in it?
Because it would just push unnecessarily clean policies.
Was that unnecessarily clean policy?
Yes, sir. There is a reason. It doesn't matter if it's a good thing. Everything must be done in moderation.
Again, what was an unnecessary clean policy?
We didn't have one because he pulled us out of the Paris Accords.
Sir, you're saying he pulled us out. We could have already have had them. So therefore you're saying he pulled us out even though we didn't have any of those.
No, sir. You
Hail Satan.
Understand. I apologize if I misstated that.
I'm just asking. You're saying it was for unnecessary clean policies, and that's fine. If you can give me an example of an unnecessary clean policy that the Paris Climate Accords, forced us into, then I'm listening.
We weren't forced into any, but we were still held to basically compensate for countries who didn't want to go clean. We were having to make up the difference.
And even at that, it didn't drive any policies that were unnecessarily clean policies?
Correct.
So
I agreed with him taking us out because it would have led to unnecessary clean policies.
gotcha. So you're making a projection of things that hadn't happened and weren't projected to happen, but could possibly happen in the future? Because if that's the case, then we should never be in any agreement ever.
No, sir. I'm just using this as one example because you asked me for an example.
Do you have a better one?
His tariffs. Those are something that everybody complains about. I agreed with him for wanting to use tariffs as a trade tactic or as a bargaining chip. I do not agree with him using them as, bully mechanics, but I did agree with him for using them as a bargaining chip in trades.
Okay.
That's
well,
a policy I supported.
Sure. If it, you know what, I completely could support that if Donald Trump was making any deals whatsoever because of them.
Like I said,
or
I
has
supported
ever.
what he stood for, not what he has become.
But sir, we make trade deals all the time. He made an entire trade deal in his first term without the tariffs. Okay, we make trade deals all the time. We don't need the tariffs in order to make better trade deals with other countries. We're the most powerful economy and the largest consumer nation on the planet. We can just do it. Okay, we don't need to tariff
we're
penguins.
the largest consumer country. We are one of the weakest manufacturing countries.
Correct, sir. And if we're the largest consumer country and everybody wants to freaking have our products here, their products here, then we can control how countries trade with us without the tariffs. And so far, the tariffs have done nothing to help improve our stance on that. So like just saying like, oh wait, like you're trying to make a comparison saying that because he said we need better deals and we're going to use the tariffs to get them, that the tariffs have the ability to cause what we're getting, right? Like the tariffs aren't helping us get to better deals. If you just want better deals, then that's fine.
They're pushing to bring the companies back to the country and manufacture locally and domestically.
No, they're not, though.
That's the intention of them.
Oh, okay. Well, then he doesn't know what he's doing. Because if that's the idea, is saying that we're bringing companies back to America, then first of all, why does he keep lowering the tariffs? Right? Like if the entire intent of the tariffs is we're going to bring jobs back to the United States, we're going to bring companies back to the United States, we're going to bring, factories back, whatever. We're going to bring all this stuff back to America, right? Then why not put the tariffs on and leave them high?
Because the rest of the world wouldn't be able to cope.
Gotcha. So instead he lowers it, therefore counteracting any idea of bringing companies back, because 10% tariffs aren't bringing anyone back. The difference between materials and labor cost well outweighs 10%.
Gotcha. Well, I want to thank you for your time. I do have to go. I have something that I have to go take care of.
Hope you have a wonderful day, all right?
Yeah, you too. Have a great day.
Yep. Bye. That's cool. Thank you. All right, we're gonna go through some super chats real quick. I put the little race car helmets on. I think that might be one of those new ones that you can't use. So I'm gonna have to reset that. I made some super chats. We're gonna go to the next caller. Keep this thing going. That wasn't a bad conversation. That was kind of fun. All right. All right. Josh says, I live in Ocala, Florida. It is not a city. If you guys weren't there for the last conversation, you probably don't get this one, but calling Ocala a city is wild to me, dude. That is absolutely wild. Shay, thank you so much. Shay said they learned a new word, recalibrate. Recalibrate was actually this month's word on your Fox News Word of the Day calendar. That's where they're getting it from. So that's where they're on that one. But thank you, Shay. I really appreciate the super chat. Joshua says, as long as the Senate is so imbalanced from a population standpoint, this country will never be what it could be. And unless we get back to reasonable corporate tax rate, we are doomed. No lies detected. No lies detected. Velvet says, my debate on transports, you lost. I don't really care what you think. And Tyrell, President Trump has the ability to enact, I'm white and I say so, so no accountability. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much where he's at right now. Sorry, I usually try to take one like every single time and just kind of like put it up there. Cause I don't know which one do I want to put up there? I'm gonna leave the Ocala one up there. I'm sorry, that was my favorite one for the time. I'm gonna leave the Ocala one up there for a second. Actually, I got one up here that I got to put it to. Will rioters take accountability for their crimes? I hope that anybody who commits a violent act in a riot or loots or anything like that is held accountable for their crime. Just like the people that in January 6th that were violent were held accountable for their crime before Donald Trump pardoned them all and let them all off the hook. All right, we're going to move on to the next call. I really appreciate that. Again, y'all, if you guys are here on the YouTube side, if you guys go to the top, hit that that like button and subscribe if you're new here. I really appreciate that. If you guys are on the TikTok side, let's get this thing up to 80,000 likes. I really appreciate that. Let's keep this thing going. Also, make sure you hit that follow button if you haven't already. If you would like support, again, if you're on the YouTube side, I do have the super chats going. If you're on the TikTok side, I do have all my pay links, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. They're all at Polypolitics, just like my name. If you are part of my Discord or want to be part of my Discord, I just did put the new link to my Discord up there. So that's also in my link tree along with my pay links. And of course, there will be extra stuff in my Discord for subscribers. So we will have full verification in the new Discord. So there will be certain parts for just subscribers. Sorry, paid TikTok subscribers and paid members on YouTube to be able to access different parts of my Discord, which will be really cool also. There'll be parts that don't require that, but there'll be parts for that too. There'll be both. So yeah. So if you'd like to become a member on YouTube or a TikTok subscriber, there's another little perk in there for you. So kind of cool. All right, phone lines are open. And we'll keep this thing going. Hello? Charlie Kirk is a dumb guy's idea of a smart guy. Isn't that the truest statement I've ever heard? Hello?
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing excellent. How old are you?
26.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
I voted for him, but I don't really support him now.
Well, very smart. Good job on coming to the correct side of history. But I am going to move on to the next caller because I am looking for Trump supporters. But I do really appreciate you. All right.
All right, fair enough.
Have a good one, man. Hello. Goodbye. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. How are you today?
I'm good. Is this a debate number? Just double checking.
You are. You're live right now. Welcome to the live. How old are you?
I am about 27 years old.
Bro, you could you sound like you about 50, man.
I've heard people.
I don't even mean that as a bad thing. Like you literally sound like you should be like at a cigar bar or something. I don't know. Like you have like a very like debonair, like older voice.
Nah, man, I'm straight edge.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm saying I hear voices all the time, and you could have told me 50, and I would have been like 100%.
You may hear voices all the time, but I hear them in my head. No,
I hear those too. Yeah, I hear those too. That's okay. No, that's a. Never mind. I was gonna make a joke on that. Oh my God, Tara, thank you so much for the Venmo. Sorry I missed that. I really appreciate that. You big W's in chat for the huge $50 Venmo from Tara. Said I don't understand anything these days, but God damn it, you give it to him. I love you. Thank you so much, Tara. Big W's in chat for Tara. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Awesome. So 50-something, 27-year-old. Do you support Trump?
I do and I don't.
Okay, I'm hearing a lot of that lately, which is, honestly, I don't even want to say that like that's a bad thing. By the way, sorry, Chris, if you're here, I got your PayPal from yesterday. I'm so sorry. I didn't have that account open. Yeah, so like a lot of people aren't really supporting Trump as much as they used to. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's because of his foreign policy issues. Like he keeps saying like, oh, we're going to stay out of this. Oh, we're going to get involved in that. But then he does the opposite of what he says, or he just does nothing at all.
Well, I mean, we can pretty much make that statement about, well, damn, almost everything he talks about.
brother, you have no idea.
I do.
Yeah. So I actually voted for him in the 2016 election. You know, I voted for Kanye in the 2020 election. No, I'm kidding. I didn't. I voted for him.
I was about to hang up on you. Yo, I was just straight. I was like, about to
Yeah,
hang up.
no, it's not. And it's just, you see, as a member of the furry community, I believe no president has done more for furries than Trump. I mean, he is also he's very popular with the LGBTQ plus community, especially due to the fact that he is a closeted homosexual. I can see the signs. I have a gaydar that's more powerful than a U-boat's radar.
There's this creator, and I don't know his name, and I wish I could tell you guys to go find him. He was trolling, but he was funny. Like, at least it was funny troll. There's this creator I've been watching. I don't know where I found him at. If I can find him before I'm done, I'll tell you guys his name. But he does these videos, and it's like what a gay man sounds like at a bar, and it's literally just him mouthing Trump words, but like he's doing the action. It's so fucking funny, and I start laughing so fucking hard every time. If I can find the guy, I might pull up one or two of his videos and just give him some clout on the live, because it's funny, dude. It's so fucking funny. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing excellent. Did you vote for Trump?
I'm sorry?
How old are you, and did you vote for Trump?
I did vote for Trump. I am 29.
Awesome. So, do you still support him?
I do, not as much, but I still do support him.
I've reposted his stuff. I'll look on your page, Illusion. Awesome. So, why do you support Trump?
It's mainly the immigration
oh my goodness.
aspect.
Hold on. Jesus freaking Christ. Oh my goodness. I need to shut this thing up. I apologize. Are you still there?
Problem. Yep.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry about that.
Nope, we're good.
All right. Sorry. So what were you saying?
It's mainly the immigration stuff is why I voted for him, support him.
All right. So what immigration stuff?
Just limiting immigration, closing the border, that sort of aspect of things.
Yeah. So what do you like? Like, you want to get a little more specific, because the border wasn't open, right? So you can't close a border that's open. And if you want to talk about limiting immigration, there was tons of policy under the Biden administration to limit immigration.
It's insane.
That, was stopped by Republicans. So just like, what, you want to be a little more specific?
Yeah, I guess when it comes to the immigration aspect of things, it more so falls in line with my way of thinking when it comes to who's allowed to come here. You can change policies into so as an example, when Trump was saying, oh, there's a bunch of illegals coming in, and then a lot of people would say, well, they're not actually legal, they're going through the proper channels of coming in. You can change the laws and change the channels of how people get into the country legally. You just change the policies in order to do that. I think determining where a person comes from should be a deciding factor on whether or not they can immigrate or not.
That sounds pretty xenophobic.
How is that xenophobic?
Because you're making an assessment on somebody based off of where they come from.
Well, that was the immigration policy of America for a good portion of America's history.
Good portion of American history. Slavery was legal. Just because it was a portion of American history doesn't mean that it's right.
Yeah, this is post-slavery, though. We're talking like the Hart-Keller Act of like 1965, I believe, is when the immigration policy drastically changed after L.B. Johnson got signed in.
You do realize, sir, that saying something was policy in America does not make it not xenophobic, right? Actually, we're very xenophobic in this country.
Are we more xenophobic now or back then?
As a country and as far as policy, or as far as just like people in general in the country?
Let's go with both.
As a policy standpoint from the United States, probably just as equal. I'm sure the people in the country are probably less, but as far as from a political stance, we're equal.
Prioritizing refugees in war-torn countries in the Middle East over, like, let's say those from European descent is more xenophobic?
I'm sorry, sir. Do you think that just because you can name a singular thing that is less xenophobic, that the overall policy is less xenophobic? Because we currently have a travel ban on 36 different countries.
Yeah,
and that includes tourism.
Yeah, I believe they just expanded that because of the whole conflict that's about to pop off in the Middle East.
Yeah, so are you saying that's xenophobic or what? Not xenophobic
the
or what?
countries that are being, well, it depends on some of the countries that are being expanded. I think when it comes to like a national security threat of countries that house or promote certain sorts of international terrorist groups, I would say that that's a good thing, that there's probably some sort of like travel restriction or ban on those countries, whether it's people going there from the United States or coming here from those countries.
Gotcha.
I would say that's probably a good thing.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for proving my point. I do appreciate it.
Would you agree that probably having some sort of restriction when it comes to traveling from countries that have been...
Well, sir, you're literally just saying you want to prioritize European countries. You just completely made the entire xenophobia like argument for me, and then you added, I mean, and that's like a little sprinkle of racism in there too. Not the whole thing. It's mostly xenophobia, but you did add a little sprinkle of racism in there, so that's pretty good.
Well, thanks, I guess. But
You're welcome.
yeah, the immigration policy in America has mainly been based more so on cultural and demographic lines. I think that's an aspect that the founders had, that America had. I think the fact that if America is more demographically different and there's a mix of hostilities between different cultural groups and demographic groups, that leads to more strain inside of society. Rather than
yes, I got it. Great replacement theory, white nationalism, all the you name. No, sir, no, I get it, sir, stop talking. Okay, I get it, sir. I do this all the time. Okay, like don't think that. Yeah, I can tell. Okay, just because you can say a bunch of racist, like fucking xenophobic shit with eloquent words, doesn't make you less racist or xenophobic. Okay, I get, sir. Again, I'm talking, and trust me, I have a very, very low tolerance for racism, and I'm trying to have a conversation with you. So I'd advise you just don't talk over me. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Awesome. So, anyways, what I was saying is, yes, I can tell you do this all the time. It's very eloquently said racism, and I think that that's really awesome. Okay, I think that you at least are open about admitting that you're racist, and you're open about admitting that you're xenophobic, right? And you didn't even try to deny it, honestly, when I asked you about it. You were just like, oh, I just want a bunch of people from European countries, and I'm pretty cool with a travel ban from people that are brown and, you know, have ideologies that are different from me. And then you went into your entire stance on, well, I feel like they're, you know, when different cultures mix, and then the next thing you know is you go into different, you know, comparisons of different countries. You start talking about Northern European countries, and then usually something about Asian countries. You'll get into start talking about China, maybe even the Koreas, right? It's the same talking points. These things don't change, and the same white nationalist talking points don't change regardless of who says them, okay? But I've heard enough of it, to be completely honest with you, and but I will say, like I said, I am glad that at least you're just very open about being racist and don't try to hide it, because I can't stand when people are, you know, they try to hide their racism. I do like my racism open and honest and in their face. So I will appreciate you for that.
Yeah,
okay.
If I can push back.
No, you
just
cannot.
A little bit.
Have whatever day you deserve. All right, cool. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you guys think I was going to sit there and talk to that racist? No. Go be racist someplace else. Hello.
Hello, nice. I came from your live.
Oh, well, I'm still here.
That's great. So, I would say I'm not against I'm kind of against Trump, but the only thing that's holding me from saying like,
Oh shit! I didn't mean to do that.
Yes,
Shit.
hello.
I hung up on the last guy on accident. That was my fault. Sorry, wherever you are out there.
Oh, okay.
No, that last guy. I didn't mean to answer the phone from you. I meant to hang up on you and answer the phone from the last guy. My bad.
Okay,
But anyways,
okay.
you're here now. So, so do you support Trump?
Absolutely.
Awesome. How old are you?
30 years old.
All right, awesome. Hey, let me go through a couple of super chats real quick, and we'll get to you. Dustin says pre-pardons, EV mandates, forced jabs, no kings. I can't tell if you're saying that's a thing you're a fan of or not a fan of. I'm not really sure what I don't really know what you're saying there. But okay. Christopher, thank you so much, says I'll call in. I have a unique perspective from inside working in the government facility of NASA. That should definitely be interesting, Christopher. I will say that. Kid Gruesome said, I was the gaydar guy. I love being annoying. Well, I will say, Kid Gruesome, you know what? You were kind of annoying, but you weren't even really annoying. You were just actually kind of funny, which is it's just funny, like truly. Like I like it. I said I'm not a big fan of trolls, obviously doing that, but every once in a while, a funny troll, an actual funny troll, is actually really funny. So I appreciate you. And Velvet, how was he being racist? I'll put it this way, okay? If you didn't realize he was being racist, then congratulations, he wins. Okay? Because you can tell he is very, very good at eloquently saying racism. Okay? And that's how people, gain new racists and stuff like that. So hey, you know what? He's good at what he does. I'm sure he recruits lots of people for his KKK parties. And Dustin said Biden acted like a king. That doesn't even make any sense. All right. Anyway, so why do you support Trump?
I support Trump because he's acknowledging that we have an immigration problem. He also acknowledges that boys should not be playing in women's sports. Acknowledges the fact that we are spending lots of taxpayer money on a lot of unnecessary things, such as spending it on children being transitioned to change their genders, and acknowledging that that's overall incorrect. That's just wrong. It's incorrect. It shouldn't be happening.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, how many immigration bills were proposed by the Biden administration?
It's insane.
I don't know exactly.
3 different ones. Okay. So this whole he was acknowledging that we have an immigration problem. Yeah, so did Biden, so did Trump in his first term, so did Obama, so did Bush. Literally, pretty much every president acknowledges that we have a immigration problem. So that's not special.
It's not special. I mean, it is special because there's a lot of terrorists and a lot of people that shouldn't be here.
Sir, stop. Everybody knows that we have an immigration problem. It's not
Biden
special.
Didn't. He let
Sir. How many bills under the Biden administration were tried to be passed to fix immigration? The answer is 3. That is acknowledging that there is a problem. Because why would Biden be trying, sir? Why would Biden be trying to fix immigration if he didn't think it was a problem?
Also, I saw that before.
No. Sir,
go ahead.
Why would Biden be trying to fix the border if he didn't think it was a problem?
Where did he try?
Over the 3 different immigration bills that I've just mentioned twice, including one that he tried to get passed that he had on the table a week after he got into office.
The border is more secure.
Sir, I am not here to listen to you move points. I asked you a very straightforward question. I would like a very straightforward answer, sir. If Biden was trying to pass immigration policy, isn't that an acknowledgement that it was a problem?
What immigration policy?
The one that he had a week after he went into office to try to fix immigration, the one he had a year after, and finalizing with the freaking Langford bill, all that were stopped by Republicans
for 4 years.
Okay. Hey, sir, do you have anything of actual intelligence to say? Because you have already showed me that you do not have the intellect
to his whole entire family before
because he can. Why did Donald Trump pardon all of the January 6th protesters?
And the same people that prosecuted Trump are the same people that also did not prosecute all those immigrants that were beating up New York police officers. Why is that?
Because the people that prosecuted Trump were federal district attorney, and the people that prosecuted the migrants would be state and city district attorneys for New York. So they wouldn't be the same people.
To beat up law enforcement?
Oh, okay. Cool.
That's cool.
I'm
Do you think that boys and
at
girls
this
should be
point,
playing
I'm
sports?
no, sorry. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and move on because
MAGA baby, MAGA
because my
baby.
brain
You
can't
lost.
my brain literally can't get that dumb. Okay? I can't force my brain to get to a spot that's that dumb. Okay? Someone says I lost to a racist. No, I just didn't engage with a racist. See, there's a difference between losing to a racist and engaging with a racist. I could have completely smoked that guy, but then what's the point? What is the point of sitting there arguing with a guy who literally, off his own admission, says he argues for racism all the time? Why? Why would I platform that guy? There's over 900 people in my YouTube right now. There's about 600 people in my TikTok. What's the point of me platforming a racist? I mean, I'm sure a lot of you racists out there, probably enjoy that. But Velvet, you're unsubscribing. I do not care. You say dumb shit in my live all the time. You can go away. That's fine, man. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Max Kim, thank you so much for the super chat. It says, just want to say that I was neutral and didn't vote at all. As a first-generation Korean American, I want to see people who put in work to get legal documentation and contribute, just like my parents. I also want to see that, sir. I also want to see that. I think everybody wants to see that. So, can I have her sub? Oh, no, that wasn't a sub. That's a YouTube sub. Velvet's Canadian, in case you couldn't tell by the fact that Velvet always super chats me in Canadian dollars. And Velvet usually just comes here to just be contrarian. So it doesn't really bother me at all. Velvet's here all the time. And guess what? Velvet says he's unsubscribing. Velvet will be back tomorrow. Velvet loves me too much.
Hello?
Ashley, thank you so much.
Am I talking on the live?
You are talking on the live. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Can you turn off my voice in the background?
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I'm being a bum. My bad.
You're good. Hey, so how old are you?
I'm 22.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
So honestly, like I'm like I don't really care for like politics, but I'm listening in. I'm tapping in. I want to talk about it.
Well, sir, if you don't have a stance in politics and you just want to hear stuff, then you could probably do it better from the chat, okay?
Well, okay, I do love Trump.
All right, I'll
Is
ask
that
you
better?
one question, and depending on your answer, we'll decide whether I continue to talk to you or not.
Okay. Talk to me.
Sounds good.
I'm an open
So,
guy.
Beauty Boutique sent me a $2 PayPal. Thank you so much for the PayPal. I appreciate that. And Beauty asks, please ask MAGA, will they fight if we go to war? So, are you going to go to war when we go to war in Iraq? Or in Iran, I mean?
So would I go to war if we went to war with Iran?
Yeah, you going to go sign up?
Yes, I would sign up, but not for a president or anything like that. I also have family in the military, so I wouldn't, like sit at home and do nothing. I would have to go and fight as well.
Okay. Well, at least you do that. But that also makes you think you're probably not MAGA. So
you don't think I'm MAGA?
No, you're not.
Oh, why?
Just because I do this all the time and I can tell.
You can tell I'm not MAGA. Well, I do like, so it's not that I'm MAGA or that I'm not MAGA. I just like guns. You see what I'm saying? Like, my big stance is like guns. Like, don't come and try to take those away. Like, criminals don't follow laws. Gun control doesn't work.
Yeah. What was the most
Yeah.
restrictive piece of legislation against guns in the last 16 years?
In the last 16 years, well, that would be what Biden passed in 2023.
What was that?
It was like they made it like a big deal. They made background checks harder, and now any person 21 from 18 under 21, so 18, 19, and 20, have to wait 7 days for a gun. Criminals don't wait 7 days. They just
Yeah. Sorry. What was the name of that piece of legislation?
The name I don't know, but it was passed in 2023. It was like a big. They made a big deal about it on the news.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that piece of legislation whatsoever.
Hold on, Gun Bill 2023. Gun Violence Prevention and Community Safety Act.
I'm sorry, what was that called?
It's called the Gun Violence Prevention and Community Safety Act.
Prevention and Safety Act and Community Safety Act.
Yes, and then the Bipartisan Background Checks Acts of 2023.
Yeah, that bill wasn't passed.
That bill wasn't passed?
Yeah, no, I have it. Sir, again, the echo is killing me, right? And here's the bill. It's on congress.gov. I know you probably can't see it because you're talking to me, but I have it up on the screen for everybody else. And it says right here that it was tracker introduced. It was never even voted on.
Okay.
Yeah. So and that was in 2023, and that was the Senate, which means that was a Democratic held Senate, and they didn't even put it up for a vote.
Oh, okay. Well, that's my only stance. Like, that's the only stance I have for.
Yeah. So again, sir, what was the most comprehensive piece of legislation against 2A in the last 16 years? One that was passed.
So are you talking about federal or state?
Federal.
So for federal, honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, that would be the bump stock ban. That would be the bump stock ban, and that would be under the Trump administration.
Oh yeah, well the bump stock ban. Yeah, you're right. That did happen under the Trump administration. But what do you have to say about Biden shutting down hundreds of FFLs for simple mistakes?
Under FFLs, what's an FFL? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar.
Federal firearms license dealer. Like he shut down hundreds.
He shut them down? When did he do that?
Yeah. Well, it's called a zero tolerance policy. If they had one paper error, if they had one mistake, they got shut down.
Awesome, sir. Again, where did Biden have that passed?
He didn't have it passed. He ordered the ATS because he's in charge of all law enforcement.
He's not in charge of all law enforcement. He does have, slight ability within the law to, guide ATF on what actions they do. But I'm asking you about legislation. Him enforcing what laws are already there doesn't make isn't Biden doing anything wrong. That's what the law says, right?
Right.
So again, that's just Biden enforcing the law. Do you not want him to enforce the law?
I do want Biden to enforce the law. And what do you have to say about Palestine and Israel?
Whoa, that's too much of a pivot. We're talking about guns right now, okay? So again, Donald Trump was the one that passed the most the largest piece of legislation against 2A, right? Donald Trump also was on camera saying that we should take people's guns away from them before we approve them whether they've done any crimes or not. Do you agree with that?
No, absolutely not. I don't agree with that. And yes, he did say that.
Okay. So what pieces of legislation has Biden or Obama or any of these people done to hurt your 2A?
Actually, Obama didn't do anything. More guns were sold in Obama's than any other president.
So gotcha. So Obama didn't do anything. Biden didn't do anything. Trump did something, but you support Trump.
But look up Bipartisan Safety Communities Act.
Safety Communities Act. Okay.
Safety Community Act. Bipartisan. Who signed into law President Biden. First major federal gun safety legislation in 30 years.
Let's see what this says. United States courthouse and federal buildings. I can pull it up right here. I'll show you guys what I'm reading. Make that even easier. Expansion of community health services demonstration program, Medicaid and telehealth, supporting access to healthcare services in schools, review of state implementation of early and periodic screening diagnosis, firearms, juvenile records, defining engaged in the business, use of Byron grants for implementation of state crisis intervention programs, stop illegal trafficking of firearms act, and misdemeanor crime of domestic violence. Which part do you have a problem with?
So it's really the misdemeanor domestic violence one.
Sure, let's take a look
So
at that.
I'm not
12005.
so I'm not saying I want, someone who beats up their wife to have guns, or who beats up anyone to have guns, for a matter of fact, but someone who is just like, women do that shit all the time. They accuse men and they get found guilty. And what about them? Like, you just get, like, all a woman, like my wife right now, my mother-in-law, any woman that I know could run
Rule of
outside of
construction.
my
Nothing
house.
in this section or amendment made by this section should be constructed to allow the establishment of federal systems of registration of firearm owners, or firearms transactions or disposition. Section 12005, misdemeanor crime, defining dating relationship. Title 18, United States Code is amended by striking "or by a person" or inserting "by a person." By inserting before the period at the end of the following. The term dating relationship means a relationship between individuals who have or have recently had a continuing serious relationship. Why did that move up there over there? That's weird. Sorry. Continuing serious relationship of a romantic or intimate nature, whether a relationship consists of a dating relationship under subparagraph, the casual relationship, acquaintanceship, or ordinary for organization. Limitation on convictions of crimes of domestic violence with respect to dating relationships. In the matter preceding clause, by striking subparagraph and inserting subparagraph C, a person shall not be considered to have been convicted of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence against an individual in a dating relationship for purposes of this chapter if the conviction has been expunged or set aside, or is an offense in which the person has been pardoned or has a firearm rights restored, unless the expungement, pardon, or restoration of rights expressly provides that the person may not ship, transfer, possess, or receive firearms. That in the case of a person who has not more than one conviction of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence against an individual in a dating relationship and is not otherwise permitted from under this chapter, the person shall not be disqualified from shipping, transporting, possession, receipt, or purchase of firearms under this chapter if 5 years have elapsed from the letter of the judgment of the conviction of the completion of the person's custodial of supervisory sentence, if any, and the person has not subsequently been convicted of another such offense, a misdemeanor under federal, state, tribal, or local laws, which has as an element the use of attempted or physical force or threatened the use of deadly weapon or any other offense that would disqualify the person of this action. So what's your issue with that?
So my issue is with women faking and saying, like, all a woman has to do is run out the house, and even could do it to you.
No,
and say
this specifically said it has to be a conviction. So,
so you might think there has to be a conviction, but even if there's not a conviction and you're being charged, the cops will still come in your house and take all of your guns.
Sir, again, this specifically says there has to be a conviction. Okay, do you want someone who is physically harming another person to have, like, quick access to weapons?
Okay, so if we trust them enough to go out and get a job and be out in our society with our kids and our grandparents, why can't they own a gun?
Well, who said that I would trust them to be like that at all?
Well,
Sir, I
I'm not
think
saying
that
you're saying
I think it's kind of wild that you're literally defending criminals right now. Isn't that kind of weird?
I'm defending criminals.
Yes, sir, because this law is literally just saying that people that are literally convicted of committing domestic violence, so literally violent acts against another person, should have should have a small waiting time before they can get a gun back. And again, not a forever. It didn't say they were banned forever. It just said, like, hey, there's a 5-year limit, a 5-year maximum, get rid of for after the violent act. I'm sorry. Like, are you really on here advocating for violent criminals to have guns? Is that what you're saying?
So you asked me what major law, and I told you the law, and now you're telling me that I'm supporting criminals.
But I mean, you are. I'm not. I mean, you are though. I just read it.
No, if we trust criminals to come out already, let them out of jail. So let's say I'm a criminal and I'm a crazy person who's harmed a bunch of people already, and they let me out, like they always do get let out. What's stopping me from stealing a semi truck and plowing it through an elementary school?
Nothing.
So then,
should we give you a semi truck and put it in front of an elementary school?
No, but all I have to do is go to Amazon and steal one.
So all you have to do is commit another crime and hope you don't get caught?
Okay, well, you're a fucking dumbass. God bless you, sir. I'm sorry you're so stupid.
Well, that must have been embarrassing for him. All right, well, that was a great crash out, I guess. I don't know. That was weird. I'm sorry. Just this was his argument, okay? And just being completely out, this was his argument. Guys, the criminals could just commit more crimes, so we should just give them guns. That was his entire argument. I just want to be very clear that was his entire argument, was they could just commit more crimes, so we should just give them guns. All right. Velvet, I told you he wasn't going anywhere. I told you Velvet wasn't going anywhere. And Robert, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. TikTokers, can we get this thing to 100,000 likes? I really appreciate that. And YouTubers, make sure, please, you guys go and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new here. We do this every single day. Thanks, Tara. I appreciate you so much. If you guys would like support, again, I do have the super chats open. I also have Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. They're all at Polypolitics and in my bio. And I will put like co-host super chat, stuff like that too up there. Also, again, if you're on the TikTok side or if you're on the YouTube side, if you want to become a paid member or subscriber, that is always open, and you will get cool new stuff in my Discord. And we are going to do giveaway. I'm going to try to find a way to do giveaway for both sides at the end of this month. Hopefully, as long as we're staying above 200, which I think we'll be good this month. So I'm super excited. That was a funny argument. All right, how long have I been on? About 2 hours. I think I got time for at least one more. Let's try one more out. I mean, I could be watching local news, but this is more informative. I don't know if it's more informative, Martha, but I promise you it's more entertaining. Hello?
Hey.
Hi, how are you today?
Good, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How old are you?
30.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Awesome. Why is that?
I couldn't support the last one. That's all I know.
Yeah, but why do you support this one?
Well, I like the violent illegal immigrants getting out of my country.
Yeah, they already were.
I want them all gone. I want everyone that doesn't have a birth certificate or a green card in this country to be gone, to be honest.
And why is that?
Because I work in the trades. I'm a welder by trade. I'm a pipe welder specifically.
Sherry, thank you so much.
Yeah, I know you're talking to your chat and everything. Can I keep going? I didn't
Yeah, no, you're good, man.
My trade specifically has gotten watered down to almost the same amount that people that work at McDonald's work for, due to illegal immigration, because they're honestly just as good at what I do, but they'll do it for a hell of a lot less, and they all live together in the same house, and it genuine. I mean, when people talk about taking jobs away from Americans, I don't think they take jobs from Americans, but I do think they lower the rate of pay that a skilled worker in this country that was born here, whose family was born here, whose ancestors was born here, who built this country. I think they're taking away our value.
Well,
they need the money for back home, and I get that, and I'm sympathetic to that. I work with a bunch of them, but it does lower in overall. If you average out what they're willing to be paid to what we're willing to be paid, I mean, it lowers the average of pay in this country for skilled workers, and I don't think that's okay.
Well, first of all, let's be very clear, and this isn't even like me trying to slight you at all, so don't take it that way.
Oh, well, go ahead.
Yeah, slaves built this country. Okay, that slaves built this country. Okay, so that's what built this country. And again, this is not me calling you racist or even having a racial thing about it. Like, we were talking about whose families were here, I
think we all built this country. I think slaves built this country too, but I think.
I mean, if by we all you mean slaves and the white people that were whipping them, I guess.
Well, I understand. I mean, I don't think those people built this country, but yeah, obviously they built this country. But There's a lot of people that came into New York and Irish fucking slaves as well. There's a lot of white people that were slaves too. I mean, it's not a black and white thing. A lot of people were slaves in this
It's an
country.
overwhelmingly black
but
thing.
we all ended up being Americans though, right? The ones that stayed ended up being Americans. We're all Americans.
Yeah, sir, but that's the
what I'm
thing.
talking-
Like
and we
when
have
you,
been for 400.
Hol-
It's been hundreds of years now. What is it?
hold on, sir, but I'm gonna agree with you. I'm
1765.
gonna agree with you here. So let me just I'm gonna agree with you on a
Oh,
point.
you're
Okay.
good. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not arguing.
you're
I'm
right. Black people were brought here and they're Americans, now, and I mean, we won't get into the rights argument on that, okay? But black people were brought here and
Yeah,
they're
I know
Americans
they
now,
struggled.
and
Yep.
then Irish people were brought here and they had a rough time when they got here. So was the Polish, so was the Italians, so were the Chinese, all of those communities. But the only thing that all of those communities have in common is that they were all immigrants.
Yes.
Okay, and that so therefore, who built this country was immigrants, right?
But at some point, we have to have the conversation that it's not racist to say that America already has too many people.
America doesn't have too many people. That's not true.
We have a lot of fucking people, man.
We do
I've
about
worked out-
350 million.
Well, I've worked out in the Northwest where it's like the most limited populations in these states. Like they almost have nobody, and those states are getting overcrowded with also undocumented immigrants, people that came over the border that had no repercussions for coming over the border, and they come in and they take a job, and when they do that in mass quantities, it lowers. That's all I'm saying.
Sir,
is it
but the
lowers
problem,
value of the skilled tradesmen
sir,
in the
sir,
area, the
sir,
millwrights.
sir,
the-
stop.
the-
Okay,
All right,
no,
go
you're. I'm not I'm not even trying to argue with you, man. I'm just trying to get a word out. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, awesome. Where is your problem with the companies that are just hiring people? Right? Like, cause like you said, like, and this was your, hold on. So let me finish my point. Okay. By your own admittance, right? Like these people are, they're the immigrants are living together. They have, a cheaper cost of living. They're trying to support their families. They're not bad people. You've said all of those things, right?
They're good people. I don't
Right,
think they're
exactly.
bad people.
But these
Right,
companies
most of
are choosing to hire migrants instead of hiring you. And that's where my issue is,
It's
right?
insane.
My issue is two-part. One, these companies should be hiring people that are legal to work, not undocumented migrants, period. Okay. And also, we should have the migrants should have an easier time getting to a spot where they can work legally. Right? And then they're not driving down any type of price because they're under the same labor laws that you are.
Agreed.
Right. And so that's my argument towards the whole thing, is that we need that comprehensive immigration reform, right? We need, not only do we need, that migration is not bad. Okay. We need immigrants in this country. All right. Right now, like according to March, we have, 7.2 million people that are unemployed and 7.2 million job openings, right? So there are tons of jobs that are going to be open in the United States, and we're not going to have enough people to fill them because, a lot of people in those different situations that don't have jobs can't work for whatever reason, and, different things like that, right? So we need immigrants in here to work, but we also need them to be here legally. We need them to be paying taxes. We need them to have I-10s, or whatever, different type of coding they can to be taxed. And we need companies to make sure that people have those codes in order to be able to have them work, right? And I think if we do all of those, I think that immigrants can get there, they can work, they can support their families, they can do all of those sort of things, and you can continue, your life being a welder and being and again, sir, you said they're just as good as you are, so you can, but I'm sure you're an excellent welder also, and I'm sure that you can, be a good welder also, and I don't think that we have to rob Peter to pay Paul. I think we can do both, right? And it might be something that's more your area, right? Because right now,
which is the reason why I think it's a bipartisan. It should be a bipartisan issue because you and I are agreeing on this right now. So what it means is, I work for a company called U.S. Duct. All right, I make duct work.
Well, don't be doxing any companies. I don't want you to.
I'm not. It's a multinational company. It's a very big company. I work for them, but some faction of their company, they have sister companies and whatnot, and it's called U.S. Duct. But a lot of them are ran by immigrants, and they may or may not hire, whoever they can to get the job done. And for my job, I should be making X amount of dollars, and I'm making X amount of dollars because, and it's still good money. I'm not complaining about what I make. I make good money. But if these people could get documented, and these are good people that I work with, they're not bad people. I don't work with these gang members or whatever anyone on the right is talking about, which I am on the right. I'm more center, but I'm more towards the right. But I'm not working with these people. And I know a lot of these people that have come over in the last 4 years just to support their families. But at the same time, they're coming over in such desperation. They're dropping the quarterly average wage of the tradesmen, which is a problem, which is what you and I are sitting here agreeing on, is reform of immigration policy, which these people that are here, I mean, I refer back to a speech that Hillary Clinton gave, where she said if they've been here, they should. I don't believe in them paying a fine for being here illegally. I don't think you should have to pay a fine. Back taxes, maybe. But you should learn how to speak English. That's my biggest problem with it. I know many of them that have been here for 10 years plus, and they don't speak a lick of English. Not because they can't, but because they don't want to. And they live in a community where they don't have to speak English. But then again, if you come into a country, you should want to assimilate. You should want to be that.
But sir, again,
if I moved to Poland, I would learn Polish.
But sir, again, I can make that.
Mexico, I would learn Mexican. I would learn
Sir,
Spanish.
I can make that same argument with the Italians, with the Irish. I can make that argument for every single immigrant community that's come to this country.
They all speak English.
No, their kids learn to speak English. Okay, they didn't learn to speak English. They immigrated here and they didn't learn to speak English, and their kids became bilingual. And this is why we have phrases. This is why we have this, sir. And this is why we have phrases in the sir. And this is why we have phrases in the United States right now that are like half English, half Italian, half like all sorts of different languages, because people brought their language with them when they came. Okay, and we start to assimilate. Right, sir. But assimilation doesn't mean specifically. Sir, assimilation doesn't specifically mean that everyone should speak English. Okay, people can
speak in America. What is American's language? What is America's language?
American.
It's English, right? We should
Barely
all speak English. If you want to be an American, you should speak English.
No, that's
right?
ridiculous. If you want to be an American, you should love
How
our
is that
country.
ridiculous?
If you want to be an American, you should love our country. That's what you
If
should
you
do.
want to live here for the rest of your life, you should be able to speak English pretty damn decent, right?
Sir, most Americans can't speak English pretty damn decent. I talk to Americans all the time who can't speak English very well.
Why are you arguing with that?
Because that's ridiculous, sir. Because sir, I can agree with you.
It's ridiculous,
Sir. Wait, sir. There's a conversation. This is not a grandstand. You're gonna need me to, you're gonna have to allow me to stop.
Buddy, I'm waiting on you.
Capiche?
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to offend
Sir,
you.
you're gonna have to let me talk. Capiche? Capiche. Okay, cool. So what I'm saying, sir, is that we have plenty of freaking different languages here. We have different people here. Okay, it's fine. All right, I can agree with you on our labor laws and having comprehensive immigration reform, but I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to argue. All right, that somebody is somehow less American or more American because they can or cannot speak English. Okay.
Oh, I didn't say they were less. I didn't say they were less than.
You are, though. You're saying if you're going to be here and you're going to try to live here for the rest of your life, then you need to be able to speak English. And I don't believe that at all.
No. I said you should want to assimilate. You should want to learn the language of the land. That's all I said. I don't think you're less of an American just because you don't.
Well, that's how you're sounding, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's not what I meant to sound like.
All right. Well, that's how you're sounding it. And it does not sound good. Okay. Just to be completely honest with you. Okay. There's a certain level of assimilation that happens, right? And like I said, I like to use the example of spaghetti and meatballs, right? The only reason that we have spaghetti and meatballs in this country is because of assimilation, right? But it wasn't an assimilation of we just start eating all American food. It was an assimilation of bringing what's in Italian culture and bringing it over here and Americanizing it, right? Chicken Alfredo, right? Like if fettuccine Alfredo. If for you guys who
Well,
have
they
never
don't
been,
make that. They don't make that in Italy.
that's
They
what I
don't
was
make it
getting ready to
in
say, sir, is that's not an Italian dish. That's an American dish. Spaghetti and meatballs is an American dish, right? Like those aren't Italian dishes, but it was an assimilation, right, of bringing Italian food into America. And so then we have that same thing when it comes to Mexican Americans or Honduran Americans or, Guatemalan Americans, any people that come to this country, right? They're bringing a part of their culture here. And then that part of that culture assimilates into American culture, right? Like the entire idea of Chinese food in this country is literally an Americanized version of Chinese food, right? And so that's what we have in this country. And the English thing does not make you more or less American. It doesn't make you more willing to, be a part of our culture. It's just an assimilation piece. But guess what? Like I said, those same immigrants that may never speak English, their kids will, right?
Yeah.
Their kid, you know what I'm saying? And so that's what happens. And as we move through generations, then everybody starts to speak English because that's just again, like you said, the language of the land, right? I want people to come here that have good intentions, that are here to be a working member of our economy, that, that aren't going to break our laws, right? I want all that are going to work, legally and all of those things. Okay. But I want them to also be able to bring their culture because they have parts of their culture that, we can assimilate and put into our country, right? Like who doesn't fucking love tacos, right? And if we didn't have the Mexican immigrants that we had now, then we'd never have tacos or burritos or freaking spaghetti and meatballs or orange chicken or General Tso's chicken. Name whatever Americanized freaking, version of food that we have.
Well, a lot of these people I work with, I bet you they'd sign up to go to war before a lot of Americans that I know.
I bet you they would.
And I guarantee they would. And that's why I'm not for all this. If they've committed a crime, get them. If it's a serious crime, get them gone. But if it's not a crime, you'd lock me up for. I don't see why you'd send them to a serious prison somewhere else or back to a country that they haven't been in 5 years. But I do agree with getting violent criminals out of this country. They got to go. We have let a lot of people slide under the radar in the last 4 years, just a lot of other things going on, and I think it is time to crack down. But like I said before, I think the biggest problem with just letting a lot of good people in is they need the money. And when they need the money, they'll take the lowest rate. And even though I'm not getting terribly screwed over it or anything, and I'm sure they're not either, but it has stopped our it's conflicted our inflation to pay rate, is what I've noticed in the trades.
Yes, sir. And
anyone in the trades would tell you, any plumber, any electrician, they'll tell you the same thing.
Sir,
Whether or not they have a political stance on it is up to them. But I don't think it's as much political as it is humanitarian. I think it's just what's happening right now, and I think things tend to balance out.
Sir, I just want to say one thing to your. I want to say one thing to your point. I don't want to cut you off. Like I said, I do want to have a conversation here. Okay, that pay to cost of living problem is not just in the trades and not just in your area. Okay,
I am.
That's in every career field across the United States. Okay, and we're all having an issue with that. And so it's not an immigration problem specifically. It's a problem with inflation. It's a problem with cost of living. We're all having an issue catching up. Our housing prices are too high. We have lots of economic issues in this country, tons of them, okay, that we need to get fixed. And immigrants are not going to, getting rid of immigrants are not going to help that thing. They're not, it's just only going to hurt because it's going to make specific things even more expensive because of some of the things that you listed, and also in spite of a few of the things that you listed, right? So I think that we're on the same page, man. I think that, I think that you have some ideas that I can agree with. I think we have some ideas that I can't agree with you on, you know what I'm saying? But I think that this is actually somewhat of an argument that we can kind of have, and you know what, at least I can say I don't think that you were anyway being racist in what you were saying. I do think that you had that you were talking about immigrants in a good light and stuff like that. And I can understand your concerns. I really can. Okay. I truly can. So I am going to get the phone with you, not because I'm tired of talking to you, because I have to get off and
but I gotta go to bed.
that's where I'm saying I got to go to sleep too. It's time for me to end my live for the night. But
Well, I appreciate you having an open dialogue with me and not being rude and not being condescending. And that is a good conversation, buddy. At least, the left and, more of the central right can kind of come together on things. At least some things,
Yeah, man.
When it comes to a good conversation.
yeah, absolutely, brother. I do. I completely agree, and I appreciate. I thank you for actually being, nice when you come up here and being respectful, because that does make having conversations like this a lot easier. So I really do appreciate that. All right.
Well, I
But
appreciate your YouTube page, man, and I hope you keep it up, buddy. I'll talk to you later, man.
have a good one, man. Bye. All right, y'all. We're about to shut this thing off. By the way, Velvet said he was never coming back, and then became a member on a paid member on YouTube. So, guys, if you're joining the Discord, just know it's gonna have to verify you, and Ari and I are working to actually manually verify everyone. So it will take a little bit of time. But thank you so much for the people that for the new members over on YouTube. Sherry, thank you so much for joining. Velvet, thank you so much for joining. And there was one more I had up earlier. I don't know where they went on my little list. But I am going to read off a couple super chats real quick before I go, and then we're going to end it. Sherry said, white people weren't brought here and chained to the bottom of ships. White people didn't endure slavery for 200 years. Correct. That entire idea of like this whole this Irish slavery thing is a bunch of bullshit. But sometimes we got to pick our arguments, guys. Can't always make everything an argument on everything. But it was time to pick arguments with that guy, and that's all it was. But I do appreciate you, Sherry. Thank you so much. Max, thank you so much. This is a rep of the Korean community. You are right. We first gen speak English, not our parents. They got a citizenship in Korea. Bet he didn't know. Yeah, by the way, also freaking get me some bulgogi, bro. I miss Korea. I'm trying to take my girlfriend to Korea. I've had so much fun in Korea. Love that place so fucking much. But thank you so much, Max. I really appreciate that. And Dustin, thank you so much for becoming a member over on YouTube. I really appreciate that also. Thank you guys so much for being here. Guys, I am going to be on early tomorrow. I will announce on my YouTube, on my Discord when I'm going to do that. So I will be on early tomorrow because tomorrow's date night, so I got to get off early. Yeah, I'll let you guys know when I'll be on tomorrow. I love you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I'll see you guys soon. All right. Bye.